With an expansion pace bordering on aggressive, China's agricultural sector today is no longer simply about farming or livestock. It has evolved into one of the largest and most complex food production machines on the planet. Alongside massive traditional industries, unconventional agricultural models are being standardized, industrialized, and scaled into billion-dollar value chains each year. So how does a nation of more than 1.4 billion people, with less than 10% of the world's arable land, manage not only to feed itself, but also rise as one of the world's largest agricultural exporters? Today, join Agriculture Insight as we step inside the most extraordinary farms in this remarkable country, where difference becomes advantage, and where China's agricultural system stands as a powerful outlier on the global farming map. All will be revealed right now. In the United States, carp are seen as an aggressive, invasive species, disrupting rivers and becoming a long-standing ecological concern. But in China, that very same fish is a pillar of freshwater aquaculture, generating more than 30 billion USD and supporting millions of households. That journey does not begin in the wild, but inside modern breeding centers, where broodstock are carefully selected and genetically controlled. From there, the fish are transferred into earthen ponds, artificial lakes, or flooded rice fields, true, living protein factories. When the stock reaches its growth threshold, the entire farm enters the harvest phase like a pre-programmed operation. Water levels are lowered step by step, gradually shrinking the living space and guiding the fish with the current toward a collection zone. Large nets close in slowly but precisely, gathering layers of silver bodies, rolling through the water into a single point. Within hours, the fish are lifted from the surface, brought ashore, and sorted. In winter, in northern provinces where pond surfaces can freeze solid, farmers must maintain aeration by drilling holes through the ice or running oxygenation systems to prevent suffocation. In China, production may slow with the seasons, but the management and care of the stock never truly stop. In China, sea cucumbers, strange creatures with no brain, no bones, and breathing through their anus, are not only a biological curiosity of the ocean, but also a living treasure beneath the seabed, supporting a food and medicinal industry worth nearly 20 billion USD each year. For decades, harvesting relied entirely on brave divers, plunging dozens of meters into cold waters, facing crushing pressure just to find individual specimens hidden beneath layers of seabed sand. Every dive was a gamble between profit and the limits of human endurance. Today, instead of diving deep, many vessels simply drag nets along the ocean floor, moving slowly and steadily across the sandy beds where sea cucumbers live. When the nets close, each haul is brought directly onto the deck within minutes, immediately sorted, rinsed with seawater, and chilled to preserve freshness, almost as if they had just left the ocean. After harvest, sea cucumbers are transported straight to processing facilities. Few people realize that 10 kilograms of fresh sea cucumbers, once cleaned and dried, yield only about 1 kilogram of finished product. This near disappearance in weight is what makes dried sea cucumber one of the ocean's most expensive delicacies. Once considered a stubborn menace to farmland, threatening ecological balance, crayfish are now rolled out the red carpet in China as they become the centerpiece of a massive agricultural transformation worth 45 billion USD. In China, the rice crayfish model operates as a closed-loop ecosystem. The flood season nurtures aquatic life, while the rainy season returns fertile rice fields. But the real value does not stop in the paddies. Beyond the cultivation zones, crayfish are also harvested from wetlands spanning dozens of hectares, where the water surface is thick with vegetation and hundreds of traps are pre-arranged like an automated harvesting system. Motorboats weave through the dense greenery as each trap is pulled up in steady succession, revealing batches of live crayfish thrashing inside ventilated stainless steel containers. The process runs at an industrial rhythm. Pull the trap, empty the catch, rebait, and reset at precise coordinates. A single worker can handle between 500 and 1,000 traps per day, keeping the harvest flow uninterrupted. Next, the journey takes us to China's duck farms, the duck capital of the world, supplying more than 4 billion ducks each year to domestic and international markets. That journey begins at breeding farms, where each egg is carefully selected before entering automated incubation systems, maintained at a stable 37.5 degrees Celsius, with light and humidity adjusted according to natural biological rhythms. After about 28 days, ducklings peck through their shells and enter a strictly controlled rearing environment, from temperature and nutrition to stocking density, laying the foundation for meat quality from the very first days. In traditional models, flocks grow in spacious enclosures without being completely confined. During the day, they are released into ponds, wetlands, or flooded fields, foraging for snails, insects, and aquatic plants. At night, they return to shelters to rest. Once they reach standard weight, the flock enters the transfer stage. Moving thousands of ducks at once is a major challenge. They are a meticulous chain of control that creates thick skin, ideal fat ratios, and firm meat texture. The foundation for the golden, crispy skin and succulent flesh of Peking duck, a dish that has appeared on imperial banquet tables for more than 600 years. Leaving the duck farms behind, we move straight to frog ponds in China, where hundreds of thousands of tons of market frogs are produced each year, transforming an amphibian once associated with rural imagery into a billion-dollar aquaculture industry. In modern farming ponds, the journey begins with a distinctive biological moment known as amplexus, when the male clasps the female's back to fertilize eggs directly in the water. Thousands of eggs quickly appear, and within just a few days hatch into tadpoles, entering a strictly controlled rearing system. Water maintained at 26 to 30 degrees Celsius, neutral pH levels, and an absolutely calm environment to minimize stress, a critical factor for this highly sensitive species. As they develop, young frogs are raised in shallow tanks with a gentle water flow, providing oxygen while stimulating natural hunting reflexes. High-protein feed supports rapid growth, while stocking density is continuously graded to prevent conflict, a strong competitive instinct of amphibians. Water is also changed frequently, as even small accumulations of waste can disrupt the entire system. Once they reach a larger size, the frogs are transferred to outdoor tanks and specialized net systems, where natural water flow continues to sustain growth without interrupting their cycle. At harvest season, water levels are gradually lowered, and soft nets guide the frogs to move naturally into collection zones, rather than being forcibly captured. As a result, the meat retains its firmness and perfect fiber structure, ready to enter processing lines, from delicate steamed dishes to golden, crispy roasted versions, completing the journey from pond to modern dining table. Can you believe that some of the softest and most luxurious fabrics in the world begin with a tiny, slow-moving, and rather unattractive creature? That is the paradox of silk in China, where minute silkworms lying quietly on mulberry leaves sustain a global silk empire worth more than 16 billion USD each year. If silkworms were once raised on a small scale in rural homes, today China builds factories spanning thousands of square meters dedicated solely to them. Millions rest on stacked rearing trays, feeding exclusively on mulberry leaves kept at precisely controlled dryness, as silkworms do not drink water throughout their life cycle. They grow so rapidly that they must molt repeatedly just to keep pace with their own development. When their bodies turn translucent and their feeding slows, cocoon frames are lowered. Each worm selects a small compartment, rotates its head in a figure-8 motion, and releases a filament more than 1,000 meters long within just 2 to 3 days. Inside that fragile cocoon, the pupa silently transforms over 7 to 10 days, completing one of the most precise biological processes ever harnessed by humans. Afterward, the cocoons are heat-dried to preserve the intact silk filament, soaked in hot water to soften the sericin layer, and fed into reeling machines. Dozens of ultra-fine strands are combined into threads stretching for kilometers, then washed, polished, and wound into spools. The moment a small cocoon becomes one of the world's most luxurious silks. Seemingly nothing more than a venomous weapon in ancient legends, scorpions are in fact a rare commodity valued at up to 3,000 USD per kilogram on the medicinal market. In industrial scorpion farming, everything begins with a simple principle: separation to control life. During the juvenile stage, or right after molting, each scorpion is raised individually in small cups. This prevents cannibalism and allows farmers to closely monitor growth and survival. Once their size becomes uniform and their bodies stabilize, they are moved into group systems, large trays, cement tanks, or plastic containers filled with stacked egg cartons that create hundreds of hiding spaces. This compact setup maximizes space while preserving natural behavior. Feeding is carefully calculated. Crickets, cockroaches, or small insects are provided just 2 to 3 times per week, as their slow metabolism allows them to endure long periods without constant food. After 6 to 12 months, when they reach commercial size, scorpions are collected with specialized tools and sent to facilities for medicinal processing, venom research, or specialty cuisine. First, we arrive at Zikang village in Zhejiang province. This small village of only about 1,000 residents may look peaceful, but it hides a nightmare for many people around the world. More than 3 million snakes of various species live together in less than 1 square kilometer, accounting for up to 10% of the country's total snake production. Can you guess what makes the locals willing to live alongside snakes? In fact, a professional snake farming household can earn between $55,000 and $68,000 per year, making snake farming a highly sought-after occupation in rural areas. The process begins with female snakes that reach the standard age of 9 to 10 months. To optimize the survival rate of the brood, farmers apply a controversial but crucial intervention technique: stitching the snake's lips with fine thread when the egg-laying season begins. The purpose of this is not to protect humans, but rather a technical measure to eliminate the female's instinct to eat their own eggs. With a yield of 12 to 21 eggs per clutch, manual collection must be carried out strictly every 2 hours. However, this is an extremely tense and dangerous period, as the mother snake remains in a defensive state, ready to strike at any moment. Collectors use a wooden stick with a metal hook at the end to skillfully lure the mother snake away from the nest. The operation must be fast, precise, and extremely cautious. Courage alone is not enough, as the price to pay could be a fatal bite from a highly sensitive mother snake. Moreover, even a slight delay can cause the embryos to die due to changes in temperature and humidity, rendering all the care efforts meaningless. Once removed from the nest, the eggs are taken to the incubation room. There, technicians inspect them using a flashlight to check embryo development and detect abnormalities. Qualified eggs are placed into incubation trays with strictly controlled temperature and humidity, while any discolored or irregularly sized eggs are immediately discarded. As they enter the growth stage, the snakes are transferred to standard cement enclosures measuring 0.5 meters in height and 1 meter in width, reinforced with sturdy steel mesh. Here, they are provided with a high-protein diet consisting of frog meat or baby chicks, fed 2 to 3 times per week. A 1-month-old group of snakes can consume up to half a kilogram of baby frogs per day to ensure rapid muscle development and the accumulation of high-quality venom. For individuals that absorb nutrients poorly or refuse to eat, farmers carry out a force-feeding process by using a stick to place food directly into their mouths, ensuring the entire group reaches the required weight before harvesting. This level of strictness is the foundation behind the immense economic value of the final products. In specialty restaurants, snake meat is prepared into stews or soups, priced between $50 and $100 per kilogram, depending on the species. In addition, snake wine remains an iconic product in traditional East Asian medicinal culture. Jars containing whole cobras or banded kraits can sell for up to $1,000, based on the belief that they enhance vitality and help treat joint-related conditions. Leaving the snake farming village in southern China, more than 27 million buffalo are undergoing a major genetic transformation. For decades, this animal was shaped for labor rather than economic value. They were mainly used for plowing and freely grazed on river floodplains or steep hillsides. This farming method relies on a unique biological mechanism. Buffalo must soak in water or mud for 2 to 4 hours each day. With an extremely limited number of sweat glands, wallowing is almost the only way for them to regulate body temperature, biodiversity, and especially to eliminate the risk of water pollution caused by livestock waste. It is precisely these environmental constraints that have driven a shift toward high-tech, intensive farming models. By crossbreeding local buffalo with imported breeds such as Murrah and Nili Ravi, experts have increased milk yields from 500 kilograms to 2,500 kilograms per cycle, transforming an outdated draft animal into a true money-making machine. In Guangxi, the buffalo milk capital supplying up to 60% of the nation's total output, buffalo are no longer free-grazed but are instead raised in large-scale facilities with temperatures maintained below 30 degrees Celsius. This controlled housing, combined with automated TMR, total mixed ration feeding systems, ensures complete consistency, producing premium milk valued at up to $6 per liter, 4 times the price of cow's milk. The reason buffalo milk can command such high prices lies in its superior biological properties. It contains twice the fat yet less cholesterol than cow's milk. Notably, with 58% more calcium and 40% more iron, along with A2 protein that is easier to digest, buffalo milk has become an ideal alternative for children, the elderly, and those sensitive to lactose. In Luan City in eastern China, hundreds of millions of geese are quite literally laying golden eggs, producing hundreds of thousands of tons of feathers each year, an economic value that rivals that of their meat. Leveraging its dense freshwater ecosystem, China has come to dominate this entire industry, controlling up to 90% of global meat production and 80% of the global feather market share. The journey of a goose begins in industrial hatcheries, where temperature and humidity are precisely controlled. After collection, goose eggs are carefully inspected under light before being placed into incubators. After about 28 to 35 days, goslings hatch from the selected eggs, healthy and ready to begin a new life cycle. They are then kept warm, carefully nurtured, and provided with adequate nutrition to ensure stable development. However, for young poultry, the brooding stage is extremely sensitive. Without proper control of temperature and hygiene, goslings can die in large numbers due to disease or thermal shock. As waterfowl with high activity needs, geese require ample space to develop feathers that meet quality standards. As a result, farms in Luan typically combine enclosed farming systems with large natural water areas. After about 120 days, when they reach a weight of 4 to 6 kilograms, the feathers achieve the necessary elasticity and insulation, key criteria that unlock a multi-billion-dollar value chain. By controlling the neck, the most maneuverable part of the body, Workers can quickly separate each goose from the flock and place it into transport cages, while keeping the feather structure intact and undisturbed. From there, at the factory, the feathers undergo a rigorous industrial processing line. Raw feathers are separated using airflow to classify them by weight, then pass through a series of washing, sterilization, and centrifugal drying processes to completely remove impurities and moisture. Finally, they are dried and fluffed to achieve maximum loft before being inspected and precisely filled into premium bedding products, where goose down offers superior insulation and is significantly lighter than duck feathers of the same weight. But it doesn't stop there. Goose feathers have also unlocked another billion-dollar market: badminton shuttlecock production. Few people know that to create a shuttlecock that meets international competition standards, exactly 16 nearly identical wing feathers are required, carefully selected from the healthiest mature geese, an essential factor in achieving a stable flight trajectory that synthetic materials still cannot fully replicate. No longer confined to the ground, China's livestock industry has expanded skyward, where more than 600 million pigeons operate like mobile protein production lines, ready for market in just 21 days and delivering economic efficiency 3 times higher than traditional farming. In multi-tiered cage complexes stacked high to the ceiling, the key to this ultra-fast capital turnover lies in the 2+2 model combined with artificial feeding. In nature, parent pigeons must produce crop milk to feed their young, a process that consumes significant energy and prolongs the reproductive cycle. Chinese agricultural engineers have overcome this biological limitation by allowing parents to raise the chicks for the first 7 days, then separating them and transferring them to automated feeding systems. With the support of technology, a nutrient mix that perfectly mimics crop milk is directly injected, allowing young pigeons to increase their body weight 8-fold in just 3 weeks. By removing the burden of parental feeding, adult pigeons can immediately enter a new egg-laying cycle, boosting productivity from around 10 broods to 25 to 30 chicks per year. As a result, meat pigeons reach market standards in less than 1 month. Do you know how thousands of pigeons are transported at once without losing a single one? This is where specialized ventilated trucks come into play, tightly packed with stacked plastic cages, maintaining a massive supply flow from high-rise farms directly to centralized slaughter lines within just a few hours. Beyond providing ultra-fast protein, internal organs such as pigeon liver and heart are often valued up to 5 times higher than regular white meat due to their concentrated iron and micronutrient content, especially the liver, one of the richest natural sources of iron in the food world. In some premium markets, they are even sought after as animal ginseng, although this term is more rooted in folklore than science. Moving into the inland waters of Zhejiang province, you are faced with a massive biological gemstone factory, one that controls up to 95% of the global supply of freshwater pearls. At the core of this system lies a breakthrough technique: multi-point mantle tissue grafting. Unlike saltwater pearls, where each oyster is implanted with a single solid nucleus, technicians here make dozens of ultrafine incisions in the mantle of a living mussel, then insert epithelial tissue taken from another individual without using a hard nucleus. As a result, each mussel no longer produces just one pearl, but becomes a multi-point production system, capable of cultivating 30 to 50 pearls simultaneously in a single cycle, increasing output density dozens of times compared to traditional methods. To ensure consistent quality at an industrial scale, the entire living environment is tightly controlled. Instead of resting in unstable bottom mud, millions of mussels are suspended in mesh bags within oxygen-rich water layers, where growth conditions are continuously optimized. At the same time, biological sensor stations spread across the lake monitor algae density, the primary food source, in real time, maintaining a stable and optimal nacre secretion state, which directly determines the luster and color of the pearls. After 3 to 5 years of nacre accumulation, the mussels are harvested and manually opened with precise incisions to release large quantities of pearls, ranging in color from milky white to pinkish purple. The pearls are then sent through a surface treatment line, where they are cleaned and polished using ultrafine abrasives such as aluminum oxide powder or industrial diamond powder, creating a near mirror-like luster before entering the grading stage. This is the most labor-intensive phase, as thousands of workers must sit for hours to manually sort millions of pearls based on size, shape, roundness, and reflectivity, factors that directly determine their commercial value. With its concentrated calcium and amino acid content, Chinese pearl powder can retail for up to $200 per 100-gram jar when packaged as a premium cosmetic ingredient in the US market. Beyond that, even the shells left after pearl extraction are ground into mineral additives for animal feed, ensuring the entire system operates under a single principle. Not a single gram of material goes to waste. On the international market, Chinese pearls have the advantage of low prices thanks to large production volumes and a wide variety of designs, making them highly accessible. However, their quality is often inconsistent, with luster and durability sometimes inferior to pearls from Japan or Australia. In contrast, other countries focus on higher quality, but their products tend to be significantly more expensive. In the United States, apartment buildings are designed for people to live in. In China, entire 26-story buildings are constructed solely to raise pigs, operating as fully enclosed, AI-driven systems, where each pig rides its own elevator and generates over USD 100 million in annual revenue. Inside these extraordinary pig apartments, each floor functions as a self-contained world. Breeding floors, nursery floors, and fattening floors, all organized like a massive biological machine running 24/7. The entire process is controlled by AI technology. Every pig is fitted with sensors that monitor health conditions, feed intake, growth rates, and even heart rate. Each pen acts as an individual monitoring station, equipped with touchscreens displaying real-time data for every animal. From a smartphone or tablet, managers can oversee entire herds, tens of thousands of pigs, with just a few taps. Beyond livestock engineers, the system also includes dedicated floors for scientific research. Here, pig farming is no longer manual labor, but a precision industry, where each animal is managed like a device with its own digital profile, tracked down to every gram of feed and the smallest physiological fluctuation. In the past, in many countries, mushroom farming meant leaving harvests at the mercy of weather and seasonal risks. In China, however, that narrative has been completely rewritten. Robots and automated systems now control every link in the chain, from humidity and temperature to each morning dewdrop, all the way to the final cut at harvest, together generating over USD 7 billion annually. Depending on farm scale and mushroom varieties, different harvesting methods are applied, but all are driven by the same goal: faster, more precise, and more uniform production. On small and medium-sized farms, manual harvesting still plays a crucial role. Workers gently twist the mushroom at its base to separate it from the growing medium, avoiding cracked caps or torn stems. The roots are neatly trimmed, and the mushrooms are placed directly into trays. This approach allows for precise maturity selection, preserves perfect form, and meets the standards of premium mushroom varieties. On large-scale farms, specialized harvesting machines operate as fully enclosed production lines. Blades cut cleanly at the base, mushrooms drop onto conveyor belts and pass through sensor systems that evaluate size, shape, and quality before automated packaging. At the highest level, robots take over the entire harvesting process. Mechanical arms lift mushrooms with millimeter-level precision, cut the roots, sort them on the spot, and operate 24/7, delivering massive output with near-perfect uniformity. As desertification spreads and water becomes a matter of survival, Chinese agriculture has been forced to rethink its choice of crops. Sunflowers, with their deep root systems and low water requirements, have emerged as a strategic crop in Inner Mongolia, Gansu, and Xinjiang, arid regions where many other plants struggle to survive. From late June to July, sunflower fields burst into bloom, painting vast stretches of northern and northwestern China in gold. But their true value only begins once the flowering season ends. By September to October, the flower heads droop, signaling that the seeds have accumulated sufficient oil and are ready for harvest. Specialized combine harvesters move into the fields, precisely separating the flower heads from the stalks, cleaning the seeds, and rapidly collecting them into storage bins. Thanks to integrated mechanization, harvesting is fast and efficient, with minimal loss. In China, sunflowers are more than a symbol of summer's golden landscape. They are a vital source of vegetable oil, playing a key role in securing agricultural stability in water-scarce regions. Chinese agriculture is not only defined by speed and scale, but also by products shaped through patience and precision. Honey peaches are a prime example. Although still cultivated using largely traditional methods, this delicate fruit generates $15 billion annually, proving that value does not come from volume, but from quality. Unlike common peach varieties that can be harvested using shaking machines or mass collection methods, honey peaches must be picked entirely by hand. The reason lies in the fruit's unique structure: exceptionally soft flesh, high water content, and thin, highly sensitive skin. Harvesting honey peaches is a refined manual process. Pickers do not twist or pull. Instead, they cradle the fruit in the palm of the hand, gently easing the stem until the peach naturally detaches from the branch. Each freshly picked fruit is placed immediately onto soft padding. A single drop or slight squeeze is enough to instantly destroy its value. In return, consumers are rewarded with a fruit that is delicately sweet, intensely juicy, and subtly aromatic, available for only a brief window of a few short weeks each summer. In China, spicy hot pot is more than just a dish. It is a ritual, and chilies are the fuel that powers its heat. Producing around 16 million tons of chilies each year, accounting for nearly 45% of global output, China does not merely consume spicy food, it shapes the world's map of heat. Few people see the harsh reality behind the chili industry. Manual harvesting, especially for extremely hot varieties, once caused burning eyes, respiratory irritation, low productivity, and heavy dependence on seasonal labor. That is why the world's largest chili-producing nation was ultimately forced to mechanize. In large-scale growing regions such as Xinjiang and Gansu, specialized chili harvesters operate like mobile production lines, cutting plants at the base, gathering them, separating the pods through vibration and vacuum suction, and transferring them directly into storage bins, without human hands ever touching the crop. As a result, productivity has surged, health risks have dropped sharply, and the final product achieves greater uniformity for processing and export. This is not simply faster harvesting, it is a strategic shift that has turned China into a dominant superpower in the global chili industry. When kiwi fruit is mentioned, the world often thinks of New Zealand. Yet on the global value map, China is the true center, accounting for over 50% of the world's production, equivalent to more than 2 million tons each year. Behind these figures lies a harvest season governed by extremely tight control. From March to June, kiwi orchards enter their most critical phase. Kiwi fruit is not harvested when fully ripe, but must be removed from the trellis at a precise biological threshold, while the fruit is still firm enough to withstand storage and long-distance transport. For premium kiwi varieties, everything still depends on human judgment. Farmers assess firmness, weight, and the condition of each individual fruit by hand, because a shift of just a few days in harvest timing can dramatically alter the value of an entire season. As kiwi cultivation expanded, manual harvesting quickly became a labor challenge. In large-scale commercial orchards, machinery was brought in to solve it. Sensor-equipped robotic arms move along the trellises, identify harvest-ready fruit, and cut the stems with split-second precision. Each kiwi is supported and placed directly into trays, enabling faster, more uniform harvesting while sharply reducing reliance on manual labor. In China, corn is more than a crop. It is the backbone of an entire agricultural ecosystem. From vast mechanized fields to the livestock and industrial chains behind them, every kernel carries the weight of food security, meat prices, and economic growth. In late autumn, cornfields across northeast and north China turn deep gold, signaling peak harvest season. Combine harvesters roll steadily along pre-planned rows, cutting, shelling, and separating kernels within seconds. Stalks and leaves are shredded and returned to the soil, while sensors and precision controls keep losses to a minimum. What once required weeks of labor is now completed in hours. A single machine can harvest dozens of tons per hour, unloading grain on the move into transport vehicles without stopping. This closed-loop process keeps kernels off the ground, reduces contamination, and ensures consistent quality for China's massive industrial feed sector. For the Chinese, coriander is the soul of thousands of dishes. Once a hand-grown culinary herb, coriander has now entered the era of industrial agriculture, generating over $5 billion annually through modern technology. On large-scale farms, coriander is harvested using specialized machines designed specifically for this low-growing, soft-stemmed crop. At the front of the machine, thin, sharp, fast-rotating blades cut cleanly at the base, preventing damage to the leaves. Once cut, suction systems or conveyor belts lift the coriander into collection bins, ensuring minimal loss and preventing contamination. Some advanced machines are also equipped with sensors that detect plant density and height, automatically adjusting cutting speed and height in real time. The entire harvesting process runs continuously and rapidly, preserving the herb's freshness and its signature aromatic oils, key factors that determine commercial quality and market value. This marks a major step forward in reducing labor demands and boosting overall output. Japanese Fuji apples, often up to 3 times larger than typical industrial apples, are known for their crisp texture, rich sweetness, and juiciness. So much so that every bite feels like tasting a spoonful of concentrated honey. They are a source of pride for Japan's apple industry, generating at least $2 billion annually from both domestic sales and exports. To secure this special position in the global apple market, Japanese farmers must follow a series of strict and meticulous cultivation processes, paying attention to even the smallest details. Let's begin the search for answers in Aomori, the apple capital of Japan. Every April, farmers carefully hand-pollinate individual apple blossoms to optimize the fruit setting rate and ensure it is as high and uniform as possible. By early summer, when young apples have just begun to form, each fruit is wrapped in paper bags to completely isolate it from pests, while protecting the skin so it remains smooth and blemish-free. Throughout the growing process, farmers continuously thin the fruit, rotate the apples, and adjust their exposure to sunlight so that every apple can develop the most perfect size and color possible. After about 5 to 6 months of care and patience, Fuji apples reach their ideal ripeness, signaling the start of the harvest season. This stage is carried out entirely by hand to minimize losses and reduce any potential bruising. Farmers gently twist each apple once to detach it from the branch, while keeping the stem intact. It is precisely this meticulous attention to even the smallest details that has turned Aomori into Japan's apple empire, contributing around 60% of the nation's total apple production, with more than 450,000 tons harvested each year. But the Japanese always find ways to amaze the world with unusual and highly creative innovations, even in agriculture. Japanese snow apples are one such remarkable product, created through a small, yet incredibly refined technique. Right in Aomori, Japan's apple capital, instead of harvesting apples at the usual time around October to November, some orchards deliberately leave the fruit on the trees until December, when hundreds of hectares of orchards begin to be covered in snow. This method is called Yuki Ringo. Its principle is quite simple, but extremely effective. As temperatures drop and snow blankets the orchards, the apple's metabolic processes slow down. The water content gradually decreases while the natural sugars become more concentrated. The thick layer of snow acts as a natural insulator, preventing the fruit from completely freezing and instead cold aging it right on the tree. As a result, Yuki Ringo apples develop a richer sweetness, a more pronounced aroma, and a crisp texture that stands out compared to ordinary apples. Meanwhile, in regions with extremely heavy snowfall, such as Niigata, where snow can pile up more than 2 to 3 meters deep during the peak of winter, the Japanese take advantage of nature itself as a massive, completely free cold storage system. After being harvested at the end of autumn, the apples are packed into wooden crates or specialized plastic containers and transported to natural snowfields located near the orchards. There, farmers arrange the crates in clusters either directly on the ground or inside compacted snow pits prepared in advance. On top of the crates, farmers place a thick layer of conifer branches, such as pine or cedar, creating a natural insulating cushion that also allows air to circulate. The entire area is then buried under several meters of snow. In some cases, specialized snow-blowing vehicles add extra layers of snow to reinforce the mound, forming a stable natural cold storage chamber. With temperatures staying close to 0 degrees Celsius and fluctuating very little, the apples can be preserved for months, while maintaining their crisp texture, moisture, and fresh flavor. Long after the main apple season has ended, these snow-aged apples finally reach the market as a premium early spring delicacy, often selling for up to 3 times the price of ordinary Fuji apples. Many people describe Japan as another planet on Earth, a place where seemingly impossible ideas work flawlessly and create enormous value. A striking example is the square watermelon. Forced out of its natural shape to optimize storage and transport, yet sold as a luxury display item for up to $800, dozens of times more expensive than a regular round watermelon. Everything begins with a young melon, no larger than a fist, placed inside a transparent, tempered glass mold secured with sturdy steel latches and bolts. Japanese farmers monitor the fruit's growth pressure every day, adjusting the tightness of the frame to ensure the melon gradually expands and fills the square corners of the mold without cracking. At the same time, each fruit is wrapped in paper to limit direct sunlight, helping the rind maintain an even green color and perfectly straight stripes. After about 45 days, earlier than the usual harvest time for regular watermelons, farmers begin harvesting. Only melons that fit the mold perfectly, with flawless surfaces free of scratches or cracks, are classified as premium grade. In Zantsuji City, Kagawa Prefecture, The number of melons that meet this standard each year is only around 200, all of which receive an exclusive certification label before entering the final stage of luxury packaging. Because they develop in a way that goes against nature, these square watermelons, despite their striking and unusual appearance, offer a flavor that is merely edible. Their true value lies not in sweetness, but in their one-of-a-kind geometric shape. If there is a Japanese delicacy that diners are said to risk their lives to taste, it is pufferfish, a species that contains tetrodotoxin, a poison about 1,000 times more potent than cyanide and with no known antidote. Yet in Shimonoseki, a port city in Yamaguchi Prefecture, around 1,000 tons of pufferfish are traded each year, making it the largest pufferfish distribution hub in the world. Most of the catch is brought to the Heitomari Fugu market, a marketplace believed to be the only one in the world dedicated almost entirely to this dangerous fish. Here, auctions take place in an unusual silence using a unique bidding method known as fukubiki. Instead of announcing prices publicly, traders hide their hands inside a black cloth sleeve and signal bids with their fingers, ensuring that the agreed price between buyer and seller remains completely confidential. Notably, high-quality pufferfish weighing between 1 and 2 kilograms can reach auction prices of up to 100 USDs right on the trading floor. Few people know that to even touch this deadly fish, a chef in Japan must undergo 2 to 3 years of rigorous training. After that, they must pass a strict licensing exam with a very low pass rate to receive an official government permit. In specialized high-end restaurants such as Waras in Tokyo, where even prime ministers are known to dine, the preparation process resembles a precision surgical operation. A master chef can complete the delicate filleting process in about 10 minutes. First, chefs completely isolate the safe white flesh from the parts that contain extremely potent toxins, such as the skin, liver, internal organs, and ovaries. What's important to note is that these parts cannot simply be discarded as ordinary waste. They must be sealed in locked metal containers and disposed of through hazardous waste procedures under the supervision of health authorities, preventing any risk of accidental exposure. Finally, the fish meat is sliced so thin that it becomes nearly translucent, then arranged as sashimi to highlight its distinctive, firm, and springy texture. If 50 years ago, Japan recorded more than 100 deaths each year from pufferfish poisoning, today that number has fallen to around 3 people. And all cases involve individuals attempting to prepare the fish themselves at home. That's why the $200 to $500 you pay for a pufferfish meal is not just for its delicate, refined flavor, but for the absolute safety ensured by the mastery of highly trained chefs. With prices that can reach up to 10 times that of premium Wagyu beef, sea urchin, known as uni, is often described as the pure gold of the ocean, where the soft, creamy lobes hidden inside a spiky shell hold enormous economic value. While many countries harvest sea urchins using industrial fishing fleets and large-scale scuba diving systems, Japan still preserves a tradition that dates back more than 1,000 years. Hand harvesting by the ama, female free divers capable of descending to depths of up to 20 meters without using oxygen tanks. In cold, fast-moving waters such as those around Hokkaido, the ama must immerse themselves in seas only a few degrees above freezing, weaving through underwater rock reefs to collect sea urchins tightly wedged into narrow crevices. On average, during a single diving session, an ama gathers only a few dozen specimens that meet the required standard. A modest yield, but one that reflects an uncompromising commitment to quality. Once brought ashore, the processing of sea urchins becomes a test of almost absolute precision. The spiny shell is carefully opened entirely by hand to extract the 5 golden reproductive lobes inside. Because uni has an extremely delicate structure that can easily melt when exposed to warm air or fresh water, Workers must move with great speed while keeping their hands perfectly steady. They then gently rinse the uni with pure seawater to preserve the fine strands of flesh on the surface while maintaining the natural dryness of the meat. In particular, only uni lobes with a bright golden orange color, a smooth, firm surface, and perfect dryness are graded as top quality. At Toyosu Market in Tokyo, premium trays of uni weighing just 250 grams can fetch between $400 and $800, making sea urchin one of the most valuable seafood products in the world when measured by weight. Leaving the rocky reefs behind, the massive 2-kilometer-long trawl net you see is designed to trap flying fish, a species capable of gliding through the air at speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour to escape predators. Taking advantage of ocean currents where the schools gather most densely, fishermen deploy the nets deep beneath the sea before quickly closing the circle. Once the net tightens, powerful pulley systems haul tons of fish onto the deck. The moment they reach the boat, the catch is immediately buried in ice at temperatures close to 0 degrees Celsius to lock in freshness, an essential step that preserves the purity of the fish's flesh and prevents decomposition from the instant it leaves the sea. It is from this point that the value of Japanese flying fish rises dramatically through the yakiago process, grilled and dried flying fish. After cleaning, the fish are arranged on racks and slowly grilled for about 3 hours to remove any fishy odor, while concentrating their natural umami flavor. They are then sun-dried and further dehydrated with warm air for several days until the texture becomes firm and almost rock-like. From every 10 kilograms of fresh fish, only about 2 to 3 kilograms remain after grilling and drying. In return, the natural sweetness and umami are intensely concentrated. Just a few pieces of yakiago are enough to create a deeply flavorful dashi broth, the foundation of many premium ramen bowls. Used as a prized medicinal herb as early as the 8th century, wasabi did not truly become the soul of sushi until the Edo period, when its remarkable ability to preserve raw fish was discovered. In an era long before refrigeration, wasabi's powerful antibacterial properties helped prevent food poisoning and eliminate the fishy odor of raw seafood, laying the foundation for Japan's culture of fresh, raw cuisine. What makes wasabi particularly fascinating is that its heat is completely different from that of chili peppers. While chili peppers create a lingering burn on the tongue, wasabi produces a sharp, pungent sensation that rushes straight up the nose and fades away within seconds. This distinctive kick often leads people to believe that wasabi is made from some kind of spicy leafy vegetable. In fact, it belongs to the Brassicaceae family, the same family as cabbage, mustard, and horseradish. Plants in this family produce unique pungent compounds that give wasabi its unmistakable flavor. Bold yet clean, intense yet fleeting, a taste that no other condiment can truly replicate. Yet there is a striking reality. The entire world produces only about 5,000 tons of real wasabi each year. A drop in the ocean compared with the more than 100,000 tons of green-dyed horseradish that dominate budget sushi chains. This extreme scarcity has driven the price of authentic wasabi in high-end restaurants to 50 to 100 times higher than the industrial substitute, making it one of the most expensive agricultural products in the culinary world. To understand why wasabi is considered one of the most difficult crops to grow in the world, so difficult that the BBC once called it a farmer's nightmare, we must begin our journey in Shizuoka Prefecture, Japan. This region is often regarded as the capital of wasabi. Yet paradoxically, despite its reputation, the annual production here remains extremely limited. The reason lies in the plant's demanding natural requirements, conditions that are almost impossible to replicate. If you usually think that most spices can grow with fertile soil, a little sunlight, and some irrigation, wasabi is different. This notoriously picky plant will only grow when its roots are constantly surrounded by flowing spring water. And on top of that comes the most critical requirement. The water must be nearly perfectly pure and stable throughout the year. For this reason, the optimal cultivation method is known as sawa wasabi, which involves growing the plants directly in carefully controlled natural streams. The water used here is not tap water or artificial irrigation. Instead, it comes from rain and melting snow in the surrounding mountains, slowly filtering through layers of volcanic rock for years before emerging as spring water. By the time it reaches the wasabi roots, the water has passed through a natural filtration system so effective that many modern water treatment plants would envy it. The result is crystal clear spring water containing almost no harmful microorganisms and only a very light mineral content, just enough to nourish the plant without damaging its delicate root system. Because the water travels underground, its temperature remains remarkably stable at around 10 to 15 degrees Celsius throughout the year. In some farms, the spring water is so pure that farmers can scoop it up and drink it directly. But for wasabi, clean water alone is not enough. The water must also flow continuously to supply dissolved oxygen to the roots. If the water becomes stagnant, oxygen levels drop rapidly and the roots can begin to rot within days. On the other hand, if the current is too strong, young plants can be uprooted. Growing wasabi, therefore, is essentially an art of controlling water flow, slow enough for the plants to anchor their roots, yet fast enough for the roots to breathe. In areas where the stream has a moderate slope and stable flow, farmers can plant wasabi directly along the banks, reinforcing the beds with natural stones. However, in steeper areas, or where the water flow fluctuates seasonally, they must construct stone terraces known as tatami ishi. These structures disperse the current and stabilize the water level around each cluster of plants. Thanks to this delicate balance of terrain, pristine water, and meticulous farming techniques, wasabi fields hidden beneath Japan's forest canopies have endured for centuries, quietly cultivating a small green condiment that is often considered the green gold of Japanese cuisine. After each harvest cycle, which lasts nearly 2 years, the gravel bed beneath a wasabi field no longer maintains its original structure. Fine sediment and minerals gradually accumulate in the tiny gaps between the stones, small spaces that play a crucial role in allowing oxygen to circulate around the roots. Once these gaps become clogged, water flow slows, dissolved oxygen levels drop, and the risk of root rot begins to increase. For that reason, the first step is always to completely drain the field. Farmers use specialized tilling machines to loosen the top layer of gravel to a depth of about 10 to 15 centimeters. The goal is not to plow the soil as in conventional farming, but rather to restore the porosity needed for water and oxygen to circulate naturally around the roots during the next growing cycle. Soon after, water is gradually reintroduced in a controlled manner. The water level is kept just high enough to lightly cover the field surface. When the gravel is disturbed, the remaining fine sediment rises and is carried away by the current. Farmers then use flushing pipes to remove the muddy residue section by section, ensuring that the accumulated debris is cleared without disturbing the layered structure beneath, an essential element that keeps the field's natural drainage system stable. As the water slowly becomes clear again, the final adjustments begin. The field surface is leveled using long grading boards, but the flatness required here is highly technical. The bed must maintain a microslope of roughly 1 to 3 millimeters per meter, just enough to keep the water flowing steadily without causing erosion or forming localized whirlpools. Once everything is complete, water is allowed to flow steadily through the field for several days as a final system check. Farmers carefully observe the water clarity, the direction of the current, and how the gravel surface responds. Only when all conditions reach a delicate balance, clear water, even flow, and no stagnant zones, is the field considered ready for another growing cycle that will last nearly 2 more years. From this point, the actual planting process truly begins. There is no rushing at this stage, because even the smallest mistake can affect the entire 18-24-month growing cycle that follows. Instead of placing the seedlings immediately, farmers first mark each planting spot by setting specialized plastic rings across the surface of the field. Each ring is spaced about 20 centimeters apart, roughly the width of an adult hand, forming a straight, evenly distributed grid across the entire bed. This spacing is close enough to maximize land use, yet wide enough to allow water to flow smoothly between plants without creating stagnant pockets or small whirlpools. Once the positions are set, the gravel inside each ring is carefully adjusted by hand to form a shallow depression about 3 to 5 centimeters deep. The seedling is then placed so that the root collar sits level with or slightly above the gravel surface, ensuring the roots remain fully exposed to the flowing water while avoiding burial in oxygen-poor conditions. Only when every planting hole is set at the correct depth, spaced properly, and surrounded by evenly distributed flowing water is the field finally considered fully planted and ready for the long growing cycle ahead. After nearly 2 years, the moment of harvest finally arrives, the time when patience is put to the ultimate test. What many people don't realize is that the part of wasabi we enjoy is not actually the root. It is the rhizome, a swollen stem that grows just above the root system. This is where the plant's signature pungent flavor is concentrated. The rhizome is crisp and extremely fragile, which is why harvesting cannot be mechanized and must be done entirely by hand. Farmers step directly into the cold stream water, carefully feeling for each plant and gently pulling it from the gravel bed without damaging the delicate rhizome. Even the smallest crack or scratch can break the thin outer skin, triggering oxidation enzymes that quickly turn the rhizome dark and rob it of its refined flavor. Once harvested, the first step is sorting and trimming, a process that requires almost obsessive precision. Using specialized knives, farmers remove the fine roots and aged outer skin, keeping only the central rhizome that meets strict standards for size and firmness. In fact, around 30% of the total harvest is typically discarded at this stage to ensure that only the highest quality rhizomes reach the market. This step is not merely cosmetic. Trimming helps keep the surface dry, preventing excess moisture from diluting the plant's characteristic heat, while also reducing the risk of mold during storage. Next, the prepared rhizomes enter the cleaning stage, a critical step for export. Instead of harsh brushing, farmers use high-pressure water jets designed specifically for this purpose. These streams are carefully calibrated to reach deep into the crevices of the rhizome, removing the fine layers of sediment accumulated during 2 years of growth, while preserving the delicate outer skin. If not cleaned thoroughly, remaining particles of mud can harbor bacteria that accelerate internal decay during transportation. From here, the wasabi is carefully packed into insulated foam containers. Each rhizome is placed neatly with enough space to prevent pressure or damage to its fragile structure. Under these carefully controlled conditions, the wasabi can maintain peak freshness for up to 72 hours, preserving the moist texture and vibrant flavor that has traveled all the way from the clear mountain streams of Izu to the diner's plate. But before we experience the authentic flavor of fresh wasabi, it's worth taking a brief detour into the world of industrial horseradish processing plants, the substitute that has dominated the market for decades and allowed the global food industry to cut ingredient costs by up to 90%. Unlike wasabi, an extremely demanding plant that requires pristine flowing water and tightly controlled growing conditions, horseradish thrives in dry soil, grows quickly, and adapts easily to different environments. Structurally, horseradish roots are opaque white, larger, rougher, and covered with numerous side roots, quite different from the smooth rhizome of Japanese wasabi. While a mature wasabi rhizome typically weighs 150 to 200 grams, a horseradish root can grow several times heavier in roughly half the time. So what exactly is the secret behind this so-called fake wasabi? The bright green condiment we often mistake for wasabi in mass-produced tubes usually begins with horseradish powder. This powder is then blended with starch, mustard, and green food coloring to recreate the familiar color and texture. The result is a thick, smooth paste with a sharp heat that shoots straight up the nose, a direct chemical reaction caused by the high concentration of allyl isothiocyanate found in horseradish and mustard. This pungency is noticeably different from the flavor of real wasabi, which is cleaner, slightly sweet, and more delicate, spreading gently across the palate before fading quickly. From an economic perspective, the difference is even more striking. Premium fresh wasabi can cost anywhere between $100 and $300 per kilogram, while industrial horseradish powder may cost restaurant owners less than $2 per kilogram of finished product. This enormous price gap explains why most casual dining establishments rely on the substitute rather than serving the rare and expensive agricultural product that is authentic wasabi. Providing livelihoods for more than 1/3 of the workforce, agriculture, a sector supported by subsidized energy and government guarantees to purchase farm outputs, has long been one of the industries least directly affected by the sanctions imposed on Iran. However, as geopolitical tensions escalate, the country's agricultural sector quickly shifts into food security mode. The government is forced to temporarily halt exports of several agricultural products in order to prioritize domestic supply. At the same time, the risk of disruptions to grain imports through the Strait of Hormuz, the route on which most of Iran's imported food depends, has pushed domestic food prices sharply higher, with rice prices nearly doubling within just a few weeks. So before being shaken by the current turmoil, how did Iran manage its agricultural system to achieve food self-sufficiency for more than 90 million people? From the 3 tiny red stigmas hidden deep inside each purple flower, Iranians have created the world's most expensive spice, saffron. With prices typically ranging from several thousand to nearly $10,000 per kilogram, higher even than vanilla, Iran now controls nearly 90% of the global saffron supply. The heart of this industry lies in Khorasan Razavi province, in northeastern Iran, a semi-arid plateau where scorching dry summers meet cold winters and extremely low rainfall. Yet it is precisely this harsh environment that provides ideal conditions for saffron, a delicate crop grown from bulbs buried deep beneath the soil, highly sensitive to excess water, and blooming for only a few brief weeks in autumn. The saffron harvest lasts only about 6 weeks each year. During this brief window, farmers begin their work at dawn and finish before noon, when the intense sunlight causes the flowers to wilt quickly and the precious flavor compounds inside begin to deteriorate. All saffron is harvested entirely by hand. Each flower is carefully plucked from its stem and placed into breathable baskets rather than sealed bags, because even slight compression or heat buildup can almost immediately reduce its quality. Despite generating enormous export value, the workforce behind this delicate process, mostly women in Iran's rural communities, often earns no more than $5 a day for work that demands near absolute patience and precision. After harvesting, the delicate purple flowers are quickly transported to processing facilities to prevent bruising. There, the flowers are spread out in dry, well-ventilated spaces away from direct sunlight to preserve their quality before the most critical stage begins. stigma separation. Each flower is opened by hand, revealing 3 deep red stigmas, the only part kept for saffron production. This seemingly simple task is extremely labor-intensive. A skilled worker can separate about 600 stigmas per hour, meaning it takes roughly 40 hours of meticulous labor to produce just 1 kilogram of high-quality saffron. To create that amount, around 150,000 flowers must be harvested, a staggering raw material ratio that has earned saffron the nickname red gold. The red stigmas are then gently dried at low temperatures, reducing their moisture by up to 80% while preserving their color and distinctive aroma. After drying, the saffron shrinks into thin, dark red threads, delicate as silk, the final product that is packaged and exported to global markets. Beyond its labor-intensive production and extremely limited supply, saffron is also sought after in global cuisine and traditional medicine for benefits such as improving mood, providing powerful antioxidants for heart health, and supporting better sleep. It is often used to give a golden color and distinctive aroma to premium rice dishes, desserts, and drinks. When tasted, saffron has a slightly bitter note but leaves a warm, subtly sweet fragrance. After saffron, Iran possesses another strategic agricultural weapon worth more than $1.5 billion each year: pistachios, the biggest rival to California almonds on the global market. The star of this industry is the Akbari variety, an exceptionally long pistachio with a distinctive pink-purple shell, widely grown in Kerman province. Even on harsh saline soils, pistachio trees thrive thanks to their strong drought tolerance. However, the crop follows an alternate bearing cycle. After a heavy harvest one year, yields naturally decline the next as the trees recover, creating an unpredictable supply rhythm for global markets. The story of Iranian pistachio quality begins with the meticulous art of hand harvesting in late summer. Instead of relying on large-scale industrial shaking machines like those commonly used in the United States, Iranian farmers continue to favor traditional methods, hand-picking the nuts or gently striking the branches with wooden sticks to protect the trees for the next season. Large sheets are carefully spread beneath the trees to catch the falling nuts, ensuring they never touch the ground. This helps keep the inner shells clean and white while preventing the kernels from contamination or damage. A skilled worker can harvest 40 to 50 kilograms of pistachios per day, and during peak season, tens of thousands of laborers converge on the pistachio orchards of Kerman province. Once the pistachios leave the orchards, they must be transported to processing facilities on the very same day to begin post-harvest treatment. While harvesting remains deeply traditional, Iran's processing stage represents a technological leap forward. Inside the factories, each batch is dehulled, cleaned, and sent through rigorous sorting lines equipped with optical sensors. For premium varieties such as Akbari, workers still perform additional manual inspections to ensure perfect uniformity before the nuts are packaged for export. Ironically, the harsh desert soils play a crucial role in the flavor of Iranian pistachios. The stressful growing conditions concentrate natural oils within the kernels, allowing them to withstand roasting temperatures above 180 degrees while retaining their rich taste and distinctive aroma. This unique quality has made Iranian pistachios highly prized among confectionery and gourmet food producers, even though the United States now produces nearly twice as many pistachios overall. If saffron and pistachios symbolize Iran's plains and deserts, then honey, the treasure of its towering mountain ranges, has evolved beyond a simple nourishing food to become a luxury functional product even used as a natural substitute for antibiotics in traditional Persian medicine. With an annual output of around 80,000 tons, Iran is now the third largest honey producer in the world. Yet what truly surprises gourmet food enthusiasts in the United States is not the volume, but the near-perfect purity of the organic honey harvested from Iran's remote highlands. The biggest difference lies in Iran's nomadic beekeeping tradition. Unlike industrial apiaries in the United States, where bees often remain in fixed locations and may be supplemented with sugar feed to maintain yields, Iranian beekeepers undertake seasonal migrations across the Zagros and Alborz mountain ranges. They move thousands of hives throughout the year, following waves of blooming flowers, from wild grasses on open steppes to rare medicinal herbs growing along high mountain slopes. About a month after the bees complete their nectar-gathering cycle during the flowering season, the honey harvest finally begins, and it still follows traditional methods designed to preserve maximum nutrients. Instead of heating the honey for faster packaging, a process that destroys delicate enzymes and vitamins, Iranian honey is extracted using cold centrifugal spinning at room temperature. This technique preserves the full characteristics of raw honey, retaining pollen and natural antioxidant compounds. One of the most prized varieties is cedar honey, produced from the blossoms of the wild cedar tree, and often referred to as the Manuka of the Middle East, because of its strong antibacterial properties. While Western markets are increasingly seeking organic products, Iranian honey has long met this standard naturally, as bees in these remote regions rarely come into contact with pesticides or chemical agriculture. For premium batches of cedar honey, international prices can range from $80 to over $200 per kilogram, making it one of the most valuable honey varieties in the Middle East. From the high mountains, we descend to the lush southern oases, where Iran cultivates one of the desert's most important crops, the date palm. With an annual production of more than 1 million tons, Iran is now the largest rival to Egypt in the global supply race, accounting for roughly 15% of the world's date production. From August to October each year, the harvest becomes a true test of patience and precision. Because dates do not ripen uniformly on the same cluster, workers must climb trees that can reach tens of meters high multiple times, picking only the fruits that have reached perfect ripeness. This careful method preserves the delicate skin of the fruit at the moment when it is at its most juicy and flavorful. Under favorable conditions, a skilled worker can harvest around 100 to 150 kilograms of fresh dates per day. Yet the job is far from easy. Each year, dozens of accidents are reported, from falls while climbing the tall palms to heat exhaustion under desert temperatures that can reach 45 degrees. After the harvesting process is completed, all dates are transported to processing and packaging facilities. There, modern processing lines quickly clean, sort, and inspect the fruits for quality. The dates are washed, lightly dried, and then graded by size and ripeness before being packaged. Thanks to advanced machinery and strict quality control systems, the final products meet high hygiene standards, maintain their freshness, and are ready to be exported to markets around the world. Without the lush green pastures of the Netherlands or the vast ranching systems of Australia, Iran still ranks among the top 4 countries in the world with the largest sheep population. Despite its harsh terrain, the livestock sector here operates largely through ancient nomadic herding traditions, with more than 50 million sheep supplying the essential raw material for the multi-billion-dollar Persian carpet industry. On Rocky Mountain slopes, Iran's nomadic sheep live alongside their herders in temporary camps at elevations of up to 3,000 meters. To sustain the flocks in such water-scarce environments, herders build simple trough systems that channel water from small mountain springs, ensuring the animals maintain stable digestion and rumination. Each year around May, when the plains begin to scorch under intense heat, the flocks migrate upward into the mountains in search of cooler climates. On barren slopes where grass is scarce, they survive by feeding on drought-resistant plants such as thorny shrubs, wild herbs, and sparse dry grasses growing between rocks, while relying on the few underground water seepages scattered across the rugged terrain. It is precisely this diet, rich in essential oils from wild mountain plants, combined with constant movement across steep slopes, that produces a distinctly different kind of lamb. The meat is leaner, firmer, and far more flavorful than lamb raised on industrial grain feed. Beyond meat, sheep milk in Iran is still hand-milked directly at mountain camps. With its exceptionally high levels of protein and fat, this milk forms the foundation of the famous Legvan cheese, a long-standing delicacy prized across the Middle East. The use of sheep does not stop at food. Wool harvesting here remains entirely manual. Instead of electric clippers, which are faster but can damage the natural structure of the fibers, nomadic herders use large hand-forged steel shears to control the precise length of each fleece. From this wool comes the ultra-fine Kirk fiber, the essential material behind Persian carpets that can sell for tens of thousands of dollars in luxury markets such as New York and California. Today, sheep have effectively become a form of mobile bank for many rural households in Iran. Within just a few years, the value of a single sheep has increased 2 to 3 times, turning livestock into a crucial financial buffer against natural disasters, inflation, and the unpredictable economic pressures the country now faces. Spanning an area comparable to Texas, Ukraine's agriculture does not rely on small, family-run farms. Instead, the entire system is organized as a network of agro-holdings, where land, machinery, and data are managed like a large-scale industrial production line. This model is rooted in the convergence of flat terrain and a continental steppe climate. Ukraine's hot, dry summers create ideal conditions for crops to naturally reach low moisture levels right in the field, a factor that can be harsh for many plants, but is perfect for grain production. Across vast fields stretching for tens of kilometers without interruption, high-capacity combine harvesters, reaching up to 600 horsepower, operate continuously like a massive mechanical assembly line. With cutting headers over 12 meters wide, these machines process dozens of crop rows in a single pass, handling thousands of tons of grain per day. Meanwhile, trucks move alongside them, collecting grain in real time without interrupting operations. To sustain this level of efficiency, the entire system is monitored through sensors and real-time yield mapping, allowing instant adjustments across different field zones and keeping losses below 1%. As a result, Ukraine produces around 20 to 25 million tons of wheat each year, maintaining its role as one of the most important breadbaskets for Europe and the Middle East. At the same time, corn, a crop capable of generating nearly twice the biomass, reaches output levels of over 30 million tons, becoming a strategic feed source for the global livestock industry. This is especially critical for China, which at one point relied on Ukraine for more than 80% of its imported corn to sustain its massive pork sector. However, the true strength of this system lies not only in production, but in its ability to control post-harvest flows. All grain is funneled into a vast network of silos, with a total capacity exceeding 55 million tons, functioning as a stabilizing buffer for the global food market. Thanks to this, Ukraine is not forced to sell immediately after harvest. Instead, it can store grain for 12 to 18 months and release supply precisely when market demand peaks. A critical advantage that allows the country not only to produce food, but also to directly influence global prices and supply dynamics. While in the United States, grain, despite being produced at massive scale, is often treated as a base input for downstream industries, in Ukraine this flow becomes the lifeblood of a billion-dollar sector: poultry farming. With an annual output of over 1.4 million tons of chicken meat, this Eastern European nation has emerged as a key protein supplier to the EU. Despite being nearly 15 times smaller than the US, Ukraine has secured its position as the world's sixth largest poultry exporter. The process begins with designing a precise feeding program tailored to each stage of a chicken's growth. Leveraging its status as the world's leading sunflower oil producer, Ukrainian farms incorporate high-protein sunflower meal and pure vegetable oil into feed formulations. This combination contributes to the chicken's naturally mild sweetness, golden skin, and deep-colored egg yolks, thanks to the high concentration of unsaturated fatty acids. Through optimized feed and fast-growing hybrid breeds, chickens reach their ideal market weight in just 38 to 42 days, with an exceptionally low feed conversion ratio, a level of efficiency that even many industrial farms in Iowa or Arkansas struggle to match. Notably, nearly every environmental variable, from temperature to airflow, is controlled by centralized computer systems. This automation eliminates up to 95% of human intervention, ensuring maximum biosecurity and consistent production at scale. In the egg production cycle, hens begin laying at around day 140, starting with smaller eggs that gradually increase to premium grades. Each hen can lay up to 1 egg per day, averaging 5 to 6 days per week. At this stage, nutrition must be precisely balanced in terms of energy, protein, and calcium to sustain output and ensure strong shell quality, including grains, oilseed meals, trace minerals, and vitamins. At large-scale farms with up to 1 million industrial hens, daily output can reach 800,000 eggs. In advanced farms, eggs are automatically collected via continuous conveyor systems, moving directly into centralized processing units. Farmers no longer need manual collection, saving up to 70 to 80% in labor costs, while also reducing breakage and cross-contamination. Millions of eggs are gathered daily at grading and packaging facilities. Here, they are sorted by size and quality, then pass along conveyor belts through infrared sensors that detect even the smallest cracks invisible to the naked eye before packaging. Once quality is ensured, eggs are grouped into batches of 6 to 30 units, labeled with digital traceability codes, and then distributed to consumers. So, have you ever wondered why eggs come in different colors? Time's up. The answer lies in genetics. Shell color is determined by pigments produced in the hen's body during egg formation, not by diet. Nutritional value across different shell colors is nearly identical. Beyond eggs, the true industrial power lies in highly automated processing lines operating at speeds of up to 15,000 birds per hour on a single system. After cleaning, carcasses are treated using air-chilled technology instead of traditional ice water immersion. This dry cooling method passes the chicken through tunnels of cold air at -1 to 2 degrees Celsius, a process widely preferred in the EU. It helps preserve protein structure, prevents cross-contamination, and avoids the water absorption typical of conventional chilling methods. Following this, AI-driven systems sort, portion, and package the products for distribution to premium consumer markets worldwide. At this stage, each batch of chicken is assigned a digital identity passport, allowing consumers anywhere in the world to simply scan a QR code and trace exactly which grain batch was used, and even which field in Ukraine the feed originated from. Can you imagine if Ukraine stopped crushing sunflower seeds? 1 out of every 2 bottles of sunflower oil on global supermarket shelves would disappear? With a cultivated area of up to 7 million hectares, equivalent to covering the entire territory of Ireland, Ukraine holds a dominant position, controlling nearly 50% of global export market share. While Russia may compete in raw seed production, Ukraine goes further, transforming these dry seeds into the most widely consumed vegetable oil in Europe, generating over $5 billion in export value each year. When September arrives, vast sunflower fields transform into a non-stop industrial operation. High-capacity combine harvesters run through the night at full speed, moving millions of tons of seeds into storage before early seasonal rains can degrade oil quality. Unlike grain crops, the key difference lies in the specialized sunflower header, equipped with lifting snouts up to 1.5 meters long. Instead of cutting low and consuming the entire plant like wheat or corn, this system gently lifts and isolates only the dried flower heads, minimizing wind disturbance and preventing seed loss. Immediately afterward, the flow of seeds is transferred to trucks moving alongside via a continuous unloading system, allowing the harvester to operate without stopping and maintain maximum efficiency across the field. With a record oil content of 42 to 45%, each harvest here yields around 20% more oil per unit area compared to competitors in North America or Southern Europe. Immediately after harvest, all seeds are transported to crushing plants within 24 hours to prevent natural oxidation and maintain the lowest possible acid levels. The production process operates as a 100% zero-waste circular system. Seed husks are separated and compressed into biomass pellets, which are then burned in boilers to generate heat and electricity for the entire facility. Following mechanical cold pressing to preserve nutrients, the crude oil is further refined through a multi-stage filtration system, removing impurities without the use of chemical solvents. The result is high oleic sunflower oil, with a smoke point of up to 230 degrees Celsius, demonstrating exceptional heat stability, allowing it to withstand high-temperature cooking without breaking down or releasing harmful compounds. In the U.S. market, Ukrainian sunflower oil often maintains more stable pricing than premium canola or soybean oil, while still competing in the high-end food segment thanks to its purity. While nearly 90% of cooking oil in the U.S. is derived from genetically modified crops, Ukrainian oil stands apart with a 100% non-GMO standard, a key factor enabling it to meet increasingly strict food safety regulations in Europe and other premium markets. Leaving behind the vibrant sunflower fields, we move to a different kind of white gold hidden beneath the soil. Sugar beets, a strategic crop that has turned Ukraine into the largest sugar producer in Eastern Europe, with annual output reaching 13 million tons, directly competing with leading regions in France and Germany. Concentrated in the central and western sugar belt, such as Vinnytsia and Poltava, the production cycle runs from September to November, when the first frosts begin to appear. Slight drops in nighttime temperatures trigger the plant's biological response, accelerating the conversion of carbohydrates into sucrose, which is then stored directly in the root, increasing sugar content just before harvest. In the fields, massive six-wheel self-propelled harvesters operate like mobile mechanical assembly lines. The front unit removes all green foliage, while a system of digging blades penetrates up to 30 centimeters into the soil, gently lifting the beets without damaging their structure. Immediately, the roots pass through vibrating conveyors to remove soil and debris before being transferred directly into storage tanks, all in a single continuous pass, with capacities reaching up to 60 tons per hour. Unlike grains, which are often exported in raw form, Ukraine's sugar beets are 100% processed domestically before distribution. At the plant, the beets are sliced into thin strips known as cassettes, similar in shape to French fries, to maximize surface area. They are then fed into high-temperature diffusion towers, where natural sugars are extracted using hot water at around 70 degrees Celsius, separating sucrose from the plant tissue. This process produces a highly purified liquid sugar solution with sucrose content reaching up to 99.8%. Thanks to its non-GMO nature, Ukrainian beet sugar is considered a premium raw material, meeting the strict standards of the confectionery industries in both the EU and the Middle East. Closely tied to the sunflower industry, few people realize that Ukraine is the world's second largest honey exporter, ranking just behind China. With around 4 million bee colonies spread across its vast steppes, the country is not just producing honey, it is operating one of the largest pollination systems on the planet. When sunflowers begin to bloom, thousands of beehives are transported directly into the fields, a highly strategic move. Beyond producing honey, these bee colonies can increase seed yields by up to 20 to 30%, turning each field into a self-contained ecosystem where oil and honey are generated simultaneously within the same biological cycle. At the microscopic level, this mechanism is almost programmed in its precision. A single sunflower is actually composed of thousands of individual florets, each opening for only a brief window of time. Within that narrow window, bees act as biological engineers, transferring pollen from one floret to another with near-perfect accuracy. Each successful contact effectively results in the formation of a fully developed seed, forming the foundation of a multi-billion-dollar sunflower oil industry. Once the honeycombs are fully filled and sealed with wax caps, beekeepers use smoke to calm the colony, carefully remove each frame, and transfer them into centrifugal extractors to spin out the honey. From this point onward, every batch is assigned a digital passport, enabling full traceability from the field of origin to the health status of the bee colonies. This level of transparency is essential for entering demanding markets such as the US and Germany. While the US market continues to struggle with issues like adulterated honey, antibiotic contamination, and fraudulent labeling, Ukraine has built a system in the opposite direction. Each batch is digitally tracked, allowing verification of the entire chain, from flower source and hive conditions to harvesting and processing methods. This combination of traditional, old-world beekeeping practices and modern control systems results in a product with highly distinctive characteristics. Sunflower honey crystallizes within just 3 to 4 weeks, forming a smooth, butter-like texture, a sign of high glucose content and exceptional purity. Compared to multifloral honey, it is typically more affordable, yet more stable, with less seasonal fluctuation, making it especially suitable for the rapidly growing clean label product segment in the US. Our first stop takes us to Georgia, the largest state east of the Mississippi River, characterized by the hot, humid subtropical climate typical of the American South. These natural conditions, harsh for humans, have ironically become the perfect foundation for Georgia to build a vast poultry empire, earning it the title of the poultry capital of the world. In the 1920s, when the boll weevil infestation wiped out cotton fields across the region, local farmers pivoted to chicken farming, repurposing the existing railroad network to ship food into massive consumer markets such as Chicago and New York. Today, Georgia's poultry industry operates under an extremely strict, vertically integrated model, where corporations like Cobb Vantress engineer super chickens, with reinforced leg bone structures and resilient cardiovascular systems, capable of supporting body weights that double in half the time compared to previous generations. Inside high-tech poultry houses, LED lighting is dimmed to minimal levels to suppress movement, forcing energy to be almost entirely channeled into developing breast meat, the most economically valuable cut of white meat. This precision-controlled system allows chickens to reach market weight in just 6 to 7 weeks, achieving optimal feed conversion ratios and sustaining an average annual consumption of 46 kilograms of chicken per American. Beyond domestic supply, nearly 1/4 of Georgia's poultry output is exported worldwide. Mexico remains the largest market, followed by massive shipments of chicken feet to China and low-cost drumstick exports flowing into Southeast Asia. Through this fully closed-loop production system, the poultry industry generates over $4 billion annually, transforming Georgia into an irreplaceable node within the global food security chain. Leaving the hot, humid South behind, we arrive in the frozen Midwest of Minnesota, the leading turkey-producing state in the United States, with more than 40 million birds sent to market each year. The industry here operates on an exceptionally tight logistics system, where massive hatcheries and feed mills are built directly adjacent to farm clusters, eliminating transportation costs and minimizing the risk of supply chain disruptions during the region's brutal winters. This level of control allows Minnesota farmers to raise highly specialized turkey breeds, selectively engineered to concentrate the vast majority of body mass into the breast. However, this extreme growth rate comes at a biological cost. The birds become physically incapable of natural mating, forcing specialists to rely on 100% manual artificial insemination to sustain production. If turkeys are not slaughtered within the strict window of 18 to 20 weeks, their cardiovascular systems will collapse under the weight of muscle mass that far exceeds that of naturally grown birds. To withstand temperatures plunging to 20 degrees Celsius, poultry houses are designed like fully insulated bunkers, operated with negative pressure ventilation systems to control ammonia levels from waste, preventing eye blindness and respiratory burns in the flock. While turkey breast meat is retained domestically to supply America's deep processing food chains, more than 60% of exported thighs and wings are shipped to Mexico. Minnesota also dominates a high-margin niche market by exporting gizzards and internal organs to Europe as raw material for premium pâtés, generating profit margins far beyond conventional meat cuts. This positioning transforms the state into a strategic node, controlling the flow of poultry protein across Latin America and parts of the European Union. Our next stop takes us to California's Central Valley, a region known not only for oranges and wine, but also as the headquarters of the largest dairy industry in the United States, home to more than 1.7 million dairy cows. To sustain nearly 20% of the nation's total milk output, farms here operate under a single overriding priority: surviving an increasingly hostile natural environment. Annual rainfall in the valley falls below 300 millimeters, turning water into a luxury commodity. Dairy operations are forced to compete directly with almond orchards for water rights, with prices swinging as violently as stock markets during peak drought periods. As groundwater reserves are depleted, water is pushed into a fully closed-loop reuse system. It begins with continuous misting systems designed to prevent heat stress and sudden death in cattle, then flows into floor cleaning operations before being redirected straight into irrigation for feed crop fields. This drive for efficiency extends into precision total mixed ration (TMR) feeding, where rations are software calculated to maintain productivity even under severe heat stress. Instead of relying solely on fresh forage, which demands enormous volumes of irrigation water, California dairy cows consume millions of tons of almond hulls and grape pomace sourced from neighboring valleys, transforming agricultural waste into low-cost protein inputs. At the same time, milking operations are fully industrialized through rotary milking systems capable of processing thousands of cows per hour. Each animal wears sensor-equipped collars that track behavior and health in real time, turning every cow into a living data point. This allows farm managers to make predictive, data-driven decisions, from optimizing breeding cycles to detecting disease early, rather than relying on instinct. Powered by this technological foundation, California has become a massive supplier of raw milk for the global milk powder industry, while also dominating the mozzarella cheese segment that feeds international fast food chains. Yet this prosperity faces a critical bottleneck: labor. Up to 90% of the workforce on dairy farms consists of immigrants, primarily from Mexico and Central America. As border policies tighten and the cost of living in California continues to rise, the dairy sector is struggling to maintain the round-the-clock labor required to keep operations running. To offset rising costs, farm owners are increasingly investing in anaerobic digesters, converting manure into renewable natural gas sold back into the state's energy grid. This shift creates a secondary revenue stream that helps preserve profitability, but it also pushes smaller farms toward bankruptcy due to the high capital costs of technology adoption. As a result, power within the dairy industry is becoming ever more concentrated in the hands of a few mega-corporations that now control both food production and energy generation. In Iowa, pigs now outnumber people by a ratio of 8-to-1. With a total herd exceeding 24 million head, the majority of pork produced in the state supplies the domestic U.S. market, while also serving strategic export destinations such as Mexico, Japan, and especially China. To enter a mega operation like Iowa Select Farms, visitors must comply with an uncompromising biosecurity protocol, removing personal clothing and undergoing full decontamination showers. All infection risks are eliminated at the gate because once disease breaches the system, economic losses are measured in millions of dollars per day. Inside, each barn functions with the precision of a modern medical laboratory. To maximize productivity, the production system is divided into strictly separated zones. In breeding units, sows are housed in metal gestation stalls designed to optimize artificial insemination while allowing precise digital tracking of each individual. In farrowing units, specialized protective crates are used, mechanical designs that prevent the sow's natural movements from crushing piglets, ensuring near total survival rates and guaranteed access to colostrum. All waste is managed through slatted flooring systems, keeping the environment dry while physically separating animals from pathogens. This level of precision allows a single facility with 3,000 breeding sows to consistently supply 1,300 piglets per week to satellite finishing farms. Notably, Iowa has completely eliminated antibiotic growth promoters to meet the strict standards of premium markets such as Japan, limiting antibiotic use solely to therapeutic treatment under veterinary supervision. This approach not only addresses animal welfare concerns, but also serves as a passport for Iowa pork to enter the world's most demanding supply chains. Beyond animal husbandry, the most valuable asset of Iowa's model lies in its closed-loop resource cycle. The massive volume of manure generated by hog farms is converted into organic fertilizer for local cornfields. That corn, in turn, flows back into feed rations for the pigs, eliminating intermediary transport costs entirely. At larger operations, methane capture technology goes one step further, converting livestock waste into electricity that feeds the local power grid, pushing the model of circular agriculture to its next evolutionary stage. Everything in Texas is bigger, and its herd of 12 million cattle is the clearest proof. For comparison, that number exceeds the combined populations of Greece and Norway. With grazing land accounting for nearly 1/4 of all livestock acreage in the United States, Texas is not only the nation's largest beef-producing state, but also a primary supplier to Mexico via land border crossings. Many people assume Longhorns are the backbone of Texas ranching. In reality, Black Angus and heat-tolerant crossbreeds like Brangus are the true economic workhorses. In the early stages, cattle roam freely across ranches spanning thousands of acres, developing strong natural skeletal frames. Once they enter the finishing phase, they are moved into massive feedlots, where they are fed energy-dense diets of cracked corn and cotton byproducts. The objective is clear: reach 600 kilograms live weight with commercially viable marbling. The greatest challenge facing Texas cattle production, however, is extreme weather. A cow with a thick coat can tolerate temperatures as low as 8 degrees Celsius thanks to natural insulating air pockets trapped between coarse hair fibers. But the real enemy is freezing rain and snow. Once soaked, the coat collapses and freezes directly against the skin, eliminating insulation entirely. At that point, the animal must burn its entire energy reserve simply to survive, resulting in rapid weight loss, a worst-case economic scenario for any rancher. To solve this problem, Texas has transformed bushland, one of the world's densest cattle feedlot regions, into a center for digitized livestock management. At the Texas A&M AgriLife Research Center, drones are gradually replacing traditional cowboys. Instead of manual inspections, specialists deploy thermal imaging cameras to scan thousands of animals, accurately identifying individuals with elevated body temperatures during the earliest incubation stages of disease. This enables targeted treatment, reducing costs while preserving meat quality and minimizing unnecessary intervention. After roughly 150 days of finishing, cattle that meet specifications are transported directly to large-scale packing plants operated by JBS or Tyson Foods, located within the state. There, AI-assisted grading systems, alongside USDA inspectors, classify beef based on marbling levels. Yet despite meticulous care, only about 5% of total output qualifies as USDA Prime, the highest grade destined for elite steakhouse markets worldwide. Beyond Mexico, demanding markets such as Japan and South Korea have become core buyers of Texas beef, accounting for up to 60% of export value, driven by trust in the strict production standards of this modern Western cattle empire. The first stop on our journey into North American agriculture begins with the pheasant, a bird that embodies wildness, standing on the fragile boundary between human control and nature. Once a prized target of aristocratic hunts, pheasants gradually entered organized breeding systems with the rise of modern agriculture. The journey begins with eggs, carefully collected by hand and incubated for 24 days. Newly hatched chicks emerge with soft brown gold down. Fragile in appearance, yet already displaying the alert instincts of a wild bird. They are swiftly moved into enclosed brooding facilities where temperature, lighting, and humidity are precisely controlled to guide them through this critical adaptation stage. As they enter group rearing, large-scale farms in the United States use beak guards to reduce injuries caused by natural competitive behavior, while still allowing normal feeding and movement. Once fully grown, pheasants are transferred to spacious enclosures designed to mimic natural habitats, preserving their wild traits before being raised for commercial purposes or released back into the wild. At the second stop, we enter the modern agricultural system of crocodile farming, where primal fear is transformed into high-end economic value. Once a wild reptile, the crocodile has become a source of luxury leather for fashion houses such as Hermes and Louis Vuitton, sustaining a global market worth approximately $3 billion each year. In North America, crocodile farming follows a modern agricultural model, prioritizing environmental control and quality optimization rather than relying on crude, natural methods. Crocodiles are raised in closed farming systems with artificial ponds designed to mimic their natural habitats, allowing stable growth while remaining easy to manage. From the earliest reproductive stage, eggs and hatchlings are separated and raised under tightly controlled conditions, including temperature, water quality, and sanitation, to reduce risk and significantly improve survival rates. As they grow, crocodiles are sorted by size into separate enclosures to minimize conflict and territorial competition. Their diet is strictly regulated, with fresh meat serving as the primary food source, supplying the protein necessary for muscle development. In addition, large watermelons are periodically added to their diet to aid hydration, support digestion, and help regulate body temperature during hot conditions. Leaving the world of crocodiles behind, the journey takes us to tobacco farms, where a plant controversial for its nicotine content quietly sustains an entire economic chain spanning agriculture, industry, and trade across North America. Here, tobacco is not merely a crop, but a tightly regulated commodity, as farmers are permitted to grow and sell it only to legally licensed enterprises. In the field, labor has nearly disappeared. Specialized harvesting machines move through rows of head-high plants, precisely cutting mature leaves and gently placing them onto conveyor belts to preserve their shape and natural moisture. Harvesting takes place only between 5 and 9 a.m., when temperatures remain stable between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius, ensuring the leaves retain optimal biological condition. Immediately after cutting, the leaves are transferred into large, ventilated containers mounted behind the machines to prevent heat buildup and premature fermentation. Thanks to this closed and highly controlled process, each machine can harvest approximately 5 tons of fresh leaves per day, achieving productivity up to 10 times higher than manual labor. The tobacco leaves then undergo further rigorous processing before entering the global supply chain, becoming a vital link in North American agriculture. Despite its delicate appearance, the lily is in fact one of the world's most profitable flowers, generating annual revenues of around $500,000 thanks to high-tech greenhouse systems that operate with the precision of a semiconductor production line. The journey of a lily does not begin in the field, but with a carefully selected bulb from the Netherlands, where generations have been selectively bred for uniformity, resilience, and precise blooming that meets strict commercial standards. Before ever reaching North America, these bulbs travel halfway around the world and undergo weeks of cold treatment at 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. A sophisticated biological deception that convinces the plant winter has ended and rapid growth should begin. Next, the lily enters a completely artificial environment. Inside modern greenhouses, the plant no longer depends on natural soil or weather, but grows in sterile substrates where pH levels and drainage are controlled down to the finest detail. Here, control belongs to humans. Farmers do not wait for plants to grow by instinct. They actively manipulate light, temperature, and nutrition to determine stem height and the exact moment when flower buds begin to open. Finally, when every parameter reaches its optimal threshold, lilies are cut while the buds are still closed, placed onto automated conveyor systems, rapidly cooled, sorted, and transferred directly to processing facilities. And now, let's move straight to the cattle farms of France and Ireland, the epicenter of today's fiercest disputes, yet also one of the greatest sources of pride for the old continent. Unlike the vast million-hectare ranches found in places like Australia or the United States, cattle farming in Europe has never been a game of sheer scale. Although Europe's total herd accounts for less than 10% of the global cattle population, the region still delivers over 12% of the world's premium quality beef. At the core of this system lies a philosophy that seems almost contradictory: working with nature, yet exercising absolute control through technology. Across Europe's fertile temperate grasslands, iconic breeds such as Charolais, with their distinctive white coats, and the muscular Limousin, renowned for their ability to convert grass into lean meat, are allowed to graze freely for at least 8 months each year, maximizing natural forage drawn directly from the land. When winter arrives, the herds are moved into smart livestock barns, where they rest on straw bedding layers up to half a meter thick. This bedding system not only keeps the floors dry, warm, and nearly odor-free, but also significantly reduces animal stress, even when temperatures drop to -10°C. European beef production enforces a strict zero-tolerance policy toward growth hormones and genetically modified feed additives, tools commonly used in the United States to shorten production cycles and maximize industrial efficiency. Instead, supplemental feed consists solely of locally sourced barley and silage corn, ensuring that every cut of beef carrying the European Union label meets consistent standards of structure, marbling, and natural flavor. Beyond that, cattle transport is tightly restricted, capped at 8 hours or 600 kilometers to prevent stress and panic. Because even a few minutes of acute stress can alter muscle pH levels, instantly downgrading what would have been premium-grade beef into a second-tier product, indistinguishable from meat produced by virtually any standard operation. It is precisely this level of meticulous control that has turned European beef into a luxury benchmark, pushing its export value more than 1/3 higher than that of competing producers in demanding markets such as Japan and across the Arab world. In fact, this standard can be tested directly through steak tartare, France's iconic dish of finely chopped raw beef. Only cuts with stable pH levels, zero growth hormones, and exceptional freshness qualify to be served raw, without any heat treatment, a level of safety and consistency that reflects the extreme discipline behind Europe's beef production system. Accounting for more than 20% of global cheese production, Europe's dominant model is not mega-industrial farms, but mid-sized family operations, typically raising 50 to 300 cows. The three productivity leaders are Germany, France, and Netherlands. As labor costs have surged, reaching up to €35 per hour, the industry has undergone a quiet revolution, replacing manual labor with fully integrated automation. Autonomous, feed-pushing robots repeatedly patrol barn corridors, mixing and delivering hay and silage up to 8 times daily, encouraging cows to move, eat, and maintain healthy circulation. At the same time, overhead automated bedding systems distribute fresh straw, keeping barn floors dry and thermally stable, conditions often compared to a luxury hotel environment. To eliminate heat stress, farmers deploy networks of high-capacity fans that deliver fresh airflow directly to each resting stall. Adjustable nozzles generate air speeds exceeding 3 meters per second, cooling the shoulder and chest areas while expelling harmful ammonia gases. Supported by this meticulously engineered environment, from automatic scratching brushes to stress-free housing, each high-yield dairy cow can produce up to 11,000 liters of milk per year. Once collected by robotic milking systems, fresh milk is transferred directly to industrial processors such as Lactalis, Nestlé, and Danone for advanced processing. This hormone-free milk stream forms the foundation of more than 3,500 distinct European cheeses, from Parmesan wheels used as bake collateral in Italy to the soft, creamy brie that defines French gastronomy. No less formidable than its dairy sector, Europe's vast baking tradition, encompassing over 3,200 types of bread and tens of thousands of artisanal bakeries, has turned the continent into the largest bakery on the planet. In France, the undisputed capital of pastry, a traditional baguette is legally permitted to contain only 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and yeast. To satisfy this immense demand for grain, July marks the peak of Europe's wheat harvest, when summer heat naturally reduces kernel moisture to the ideal 14% threshold. At this moment, the continent enters an overwhelming campaign of mechanization. Vast wheat fields stretching across hundreds of hectares are overtaken by mega combine harvesters equipped with cutting headers exceeding 12 meters in width. Thousands of cuts per minute pull wheat heads into the threshing chamber, where high-speed rotating drums use intense centrifugal force to separate grain before funneling it into onboard storage tanks. These machines operate like mobile data centers. Infrared sensor systems continuously scan the harvest, analyzing protein content and gluten levels in real time. Wheat batches exceeding 13% protein are routed toward bread production to achieve the desired chew and structure, while lower protein grain is directed to pastry and confectionery lines that require finer, more delicate textures. Thanks to this precision-driven system, wheat yields across the European Union reach record levels of 8 to 10 tons per hectare. Yet the value chain does not end with premium bread. The remaining wheat stalks are compressed into dense straw bales and returned to farms as bedding for beef and dairy cattle, completing a circular agricultural economy in which virtually nothing drawn from the land is wasted. While crops like tomatoes, bell peppers, and cucumbers can see prices triple whenever greenhouse heating gas costs spike, cabbage stands out as one of the few European crops that maintains long-term price stability, thanks to open field cultivation and exceptional tolerance to cold and temperature swings. In northern agricultural hubs such as Germany and Poland, white cabbage is grown for up to 180 days, allowing it to accumulate natural sugars and develop massive heads weighing up to 5 kilograms, specifically suited for fermentation industries. Manual labor has largely disappeared. Today, rotary disc harvesters equipped with vision sensors lift and sever each head with precision in under 1 second. This step is critical. It preserves the cabbage's natural wax layer, a prerequisite for long-term cold storage, enabling the crop to overwinter in climate-controlled warehouses for up to 10 months while retaining near-harvest crispness. For red cabbage, a closely related variety priced up to 30% higher due to strong demand from the fresh salad market, European farmers apply a more nuanced harvesting strategy. Although the same conveyor-based gripping principle is used, red cabbage harvesters are fitted with softer rubber buffers and reduced belt speeds. This configuration prevents skin damage and cellular pigment bleeding, which would otherwise compromise commercial value. A single machine can process up to 50 tons per day, sufficient to meet the continent's massive demand. However, for produce destined directly for supermarket shelves, Europe favors a different approach: semi-mechanized harvesting. Here, workers operate alongside conveyor systems and tractors, manually selecting and cutting only grade A heads. At the field edge, cabbages meeting strict standards for shape and color are placed directly onto packing conveyors, while the remainder is diverted to processing channels. Although Europe cannot rival China's sheer production volume, its ability to minimize damage rates and extend freshness for up to 10 months allows European farmers to consistently command premium prices and avoid the chronic oversupply crises that plague less controlled agricultural systems. You may not know this, but green peas do not actually come from the Netherlands. Although the name traces back to the era when Dutch traders dominated global commerce, in modern Europe, it is France that stands as the true stronghold of pea production, with output 10 times higher than its neighbor, supplying over 2 million tons per year to global markets. Unlike cereal crops that can be left to dry in the field, peas have an extremely narrow harvest window, typically lasting just 12 to 24 hours to achieve grade A sweetness. To meet this challenge, European farmers deploy massive pea viner machines, operating like mobile shelling factories. Gripping mechanisms pull entire pea plants into rotating threshing drums that separate the peas on the spot, while the remaining plant matter is shredded and returned to the soil, recycling natural nitrogen stored in the roots nodules. Immediately after shelling, the peas must be transported to IQF, individually quick frozen facilities, within a critical 2-hour golden window, locking in vitamin C content and natural sugars before degradation can begin. Notably, as the global market moves away from genetically modified soybeans, processing plants in France and Belgium have rapidly repositioned peas as a leading source of clean protein. Beyond frozen vegetables, peas are refined into high-purity protein isolates, forming the backbone of the rapidly expanding plant-based meat and dairy alternatives industry. Thanks to their non-allergenic profile and strong alignment with green sustainability standards, these pea-based products now dominate the premium segment, commanding export values up to 30% higher than comparable pea products from North America. Every single second, 100 meals made from Norwegian salmon are served somewhere around the world. With annual revenues exceeding 11 billion euros, this fish is no longer a wild delicacy. It has become a strategic economic empire, enabling Europe to dominate global dining tables. Behind this immense output, Norway operates giant offshore cage systems built from ultra-durable polymer materials, reaching depths of up to 50 meters, the equivalent of a 15-story building submerged in the open sea. Once juvenile salmon reach the required size, they are transferred into these cages to begin an approximately 22-month ocean growing phase. The open net design allows Arctic Ocean currents to flow freely through the cages, delivering abundant fresh oxygen while naturally flushing away waste, keeping the environment in a near pristine state. Crucially, Norway enforces a golden density rule. Fish may occupy no more than 2.5% of the cage volume, leaving the rest as open water. The constant need to swim against strong currents forces the salmon to burn excess fat, producing firm flesh and distinctive marbled fat patterns, qualities that low-cost industrial farmed fish can never replicate. When the salmon reach a weight of around 5 kilograms, they are not hauled up by nets, as in traditional fishing. Any sudden impact or panic can trigger physiological stress, altering muscle pH levels and directly compromising fillet quality. Instead, the fish are gently guided into wellboats using low-pressure water suction systems, keeping them calm and stable before processing. This strict stress control allows muscle pH to remain within the optimal range, a critical requirement for sushi-grade salmon, safe and stable enough to be consumed raw immediately after processing. From this point, it takes less than 48 hours for a salmon to travel from a Norwegian fjord to high-end restaurants in New York or Tokyo. Inside the processing plant, fully automated systems take over. X-ray scanners analyze bone density to eliminate substandard specimens, followed by high-pressure water jet blades that perform filleting cuts with millimeter-level precision without damaging the cellular structure of the flesh. Today, Norwegian salmon not only dominates menus from sushi and sashimi to pan-seared steaks, but also serves as a premium raw material for high-grade omega-3 extraction. While the European Union remains the largest market, the United States is rapidly emerging as the leading importer outside the region, a clear testament to the global appeal of Nordic green aquaculture at its finest. Can you believe a cabbage can weigh over 60 kilograms, about the same as an adult human? In Alaska, this is not unusual. During summer, the region receives up to 18-20 hours of daylight each day, creating ideal conditions for extraordinary plant growth. Unlike crops in lower latitudes that must pause photosynthesis at night, plants in Alaska can photosynthesize almost continuously thanks to the midnight sun. This extended light exposure allows crops to accumulate carbohydrates non-stop, accelerating cell division and causing biomass to surge within a very short growing season. However, sunlight alone isn't enough. To achieve record-breaking sizes, farmers space their crops widely, about 1.5 to 2 meters apart, ensuring each plant receives maximum light. Soil moisture is carefully maintained at optimal levels, often supported by mineral-rich glacial meltwater, which further enhances growth. At the Alaska State Fair, a showcase for some of the largest vegetables on Earth, prize-winning cabbages can weigh tens of kilograms and earn thousands of dollars. Beyond cabbages, the state has produced other plant giants, including zucchinis over 13 kilograms, green squash exceeding 160 kilograms, and pumpkins surpassing 900 kilograms. Remarkably, despite their massive size, Alaska cabbages are often crisp and naturally sweet. This is due to the plant's ability to convert starch into sugar as a response to cold temperatures, enhancing both texture and flavor. In just 2 decades, more than 135 peony farms have emerged across the state, supplying over 500,000 stems annually to the global premium flower market. This rapid growth is driven by a rare biological advantage. While major peony-producing regions such as the Netherlands, France, and Washington state finish their harvest by June, Alaska's permafrost acts like a natural freezer, keeping plant roots dormant for several additional months. As a result, peonies begin their growth later and bloom in July and August, making Alaska one of the few places in the world able to supply fresh peonies precisely when summer wedding demand peaks. However, producing market-quality blooms requires patience. Each plant typically needs 3 to 4 years to accumulate enough nutrients to produce large flowers with dense petals and exceptional longevity. During harvest season, buds are cut entirely by hand at the marshmallow stage, when they feel soft but have not yet opened. This timing effectively pauses the blooming process, allowing the flowers to travel thousands of kilometers and still open perfectly upon arrival. From small family-run farms scattered across the region, peonies are carefully packed and shipped within 48 hours of cutting. In major flower markets like New York, Amsterdam, and Tokyo, Alaska peonies can wholesale for $5 to $10 per stem, or even higher during peak demand. However, agriculture occupies only a tiny fraction of Alaska's land. In stark contrast, the seafood industry is the true economic powerhouse of the state, generating over $6 billion annually, roughly 60 times the combined output of all crops and livestock. In southeast Alaska, where deep glacial fjords, cold oxygen-rich waters, and abundant plankton create near-ideal conditions for shellfish, oyster farming has emerged as a high-value niche. Although it accounts for only about 1% of the state's total seafood production, it is highly regarded for its strict environmental standards and exceptionally pristine waters. Each year, the Oceans Alaska hatchery can produce up to 50 million oyster seed, supplying the majority of oyster farms across the state. These young oysters are then transferred to floating farms in sheltered bays, where they are grown in suspended cages or floating rafts anchored in the cold, oxygen-rich waters of the subarctic region. While oysters in warmer waters typically reach market size within 18 to 24 months, Alaska's extremely low water temperatures slow this process to 4 to 5 years. Yet this slower growth becomes a unique advantage. The oysters accumulate high levels of glycogen, a stored sugar that helps them adapt to cold environments, resulting in a rich, creamy sweetness rather than a sharp, briny taste, along with a firm, refined texture. To control shell shape and overall quality, many farms use adjustable cages that can be flipped or rotated with the tides. The gentle collisions between oysters inside these cages help wear down sharp shell edges, forcing the oysters to invest energy into developing thicker, deeper shells, rather than simply expanding outward. This deep-cupped shell structure creates more space for meat and liquor, a key quality highly valued by Michelin-level chefs when serving fresh oysters. During harvest season, at farms using flip cages, the entire process operates like a continuous and synchronized production line. The cages are lifted out of the water using winches or small onboard cranes, then flipped and opened directly on deck. The oysters are immediately released onto a conveyor system, where they are washed with high-pressure seawater to remove mud, algae, and fouling organisms. Meanwhile, at farms using suspended longline systems, harvesting begins by hauling up rows of oyster lines from the water. Workers manually separate clusters of oysters from ropes or trays before transferring them into containers on deck. Without automated flipping mechanisms, this method requires more labor but allows for careful inspection and quality control of each individual oyster before cold storage. From this point on, only the highest grade oysters enter the cold chain and are transported by air, allowing them to appear in high-end restaurants in cities like New York, Chicago, and Las Vegas within just 24 hours of leaving the ocean. Thanks to the cold waters, where common pathogens found in warmer seas are nearly absent, Alaska oysters are considered among the cleanest seafood in the world. Although total production accounts for only about 1% of the state's seafood industry, each oyster carries significant economic value. Consumers are willing to pay around $6 per oyster, not only for the clean, mineral-rich flavor shaped by glacial waters, but also for the trust in a sustainable farming process within the fragile subarctic marine ecosystem. In the Fire Basin of Bristol Bay, as many as 60 million salmon surge back at the peak of each season, accounting for over 90% of North America's wild salmon harvest, enough to make Alaska the world's leading salmon powerhouse if it were an independent nation. Beyond its economic value, this immense biomass forms the backbone of an entire ecosystem, sustaining everything from brown bears and bald eagles to seals. However, fishermen are not allowed to harvest once the salmon have moved too far upstream to spawn. The long migration and reproductive process deplete much of their stored energy, significantly reducing meat quality. The real battle takes place at the mouth of the bay, where field biologists hold ultimate authority. When the signal is given, thousands of boats surge forward like an F1 race, competing for every meter of coastal water within a tightly controlled window of just 6 to 12 hours. The most effective method for catching these nearshore swimmers is the set gill net, a fixed net anchored with one end on shore and the other extending perpendicularly into the sea to intercept salmon moving along the coastline. As schools of fish rush along the shoreline in search of river entrances, they become entangled in the shallow waters. At this critical moment, fishermen must race against the tides, hauling in the nets and carefully removing each fish by hand to preserve its perfect form before it enters cold storage. As soon as tons of salmon hit the deck, they are immediately transferred into refrigerated seawater systems, a mixture of super-chilled seawater and finely crushed ice designed to bring the fish's body temperature close to 0 degrees Celsius within minutes. Through strict conservation practices and advanced handling techniques, the salmon industry generates over $2.2 billion annually, making Bristol Bay a strategic seafood hub of the United States. King crab, the red treasure of the Bering Sea, is both an economic symbol and a source of pride for Alaska, generating over $200 million annually within just a short harvesting season and consistently ranking among the most valuable and sought-after seafood in the world. Yet behind this immense value lies a deadly gamble, where humans confront a violent ocean. Winter waves can reach heights of up to 30 meters, freezing temperatures grip every surface, and sudden storms strike without warning, ready to punish even the smallest mistake, making crab fishing one of the most dangerous jobs on Earth. The heart of the season unfolds from October to January in the Bering Sea, where massive king crabs, some with leg spans reaching up to 1.8 meters, live beneath the icy continental shelf. To reach them, fishermen deploy massive steel traps weighing over 300 kilograms, known as crab pots. These traps are baited with herring or cod and lowered to depths of 200 to 400 meters below the surface. In the darkness of the ocean floor, the scent of bait lures crabs into the traps through one-way entrances. After soaking for 24 to 48 hours, powerful hydraulic winches haul the massive cages, now weighing several tons, back onto the deck, often in the midst of subarctic storms. As soon as the traps are opened, a strict sorting process begins almost instantly. Only mature male crabs, with a minimum shell width of 16.5 centimeters, are allowed to be kept. All females and undersized crabs are immediately returned to the ocean to ensure the population can recover for future seasons. Beyond discipline, the key to maintaining Alaska king crab's premium quality lies in live storage technology. After sorting, the crabs are transferred into large holding tanks in the ship's hull, where a continuous flow of cold, oxygenated seawater replicates their natural environment. This allows them to remain alive for days until reaching port, preserving their signature sweetness and firm texture at peak quality. Upon reaching port, the crabs are immediately transferred into chilled seawater tanks, then packed with ice in specialized containers to maintain a dormant state throughout transportation. This closed-loop process ensures that even thousands of kilometers away from the Bering Sea, consumers can still experience the same freshness as if the crab had just been caught. At its peak, nearly one fisherman lost their life every week, making king crab fishing one of the deadliest professions in the United States, with a fatality rate up to 26 times higher than the national average. It is this harshness, extreme risk, and limited supply that have driven Alaska king crab prices beyond $100 per kilogram, turning it into one of the most luxurious delicacies in the world. Behind every kilogram of crab lies a cost measured not only in money, but in the physical toll, time, and even the lives of those who face the unforgiving, icy ocean each day. Controlling nearly 40% of global rice trade, India has the power to shake the world food market. Each export ban capable of sending prices soaring and raising meal costs for billions. That influence extends beyond short-cycle rice varieties. Premium basmati, grown in the Himalayan valley, can require up to a year to cultivate. To manage vast output across complex terrain, India employs two parallel mechanization strategies: crawler-type combine harvesters in waterlogged southern regions like Andhra Pradesh, and compact reapers for small household plots. While tracked combines glide over muddy fields to cut, thresh, and clean grain in one pass, small reapers reduce labor by up to 80%, operating efficiently in tight, soft soil conditions. With this flexible system, India produces over 150 million tons of rice annually, surpassing China to become the world's largest producer in 2025. Despite lower yields per hectare than the United States, its massive cultivation area and adaptive machinery secure a decisive edge, placing Indian rice everywhere from $1,200 per ton basmati on premium shelves to affordable staples feeding densely populated African cities, cementing India's role as a cornerstone of the global food supply chain. Each year, India produces more than 30 million tons of bananas, nearly 3 times the output of China, the world's second-largest producer. This achievement stems from a highly disciplined resource management system. Plantations implement drip irrigation combined with automated fertigation to maximize water and nutrient efficiency. When temperatures exceed 40 degrees Celsius, micro-sprinkler systems are activated to cool the canopy. During colder periods, farmers continue irrigating and use smoke to keep the root zone warm and protect the plants. Although harvesting is done manually, it is strictly controlled to prevent damage to the delicate peel. Banana bunches weighing up to 50 kilograms are swiftly transported to collection points, then passed through antifungal washing tanks and cooling processes before labeling. a critical step in preserving freshness throughout global shipping. Composed of 90% water and rich in potassium, chopped banana stems decompose rapidly when incorporated directly into the soil, turning into on-site organic fertilizer that improves soil aeration and moisture retention. This method not only helps farmers cut chemical input costs by around 30%, but also clears fields quickly in preparation for the next crop cycle. Even more remarkably, the banana plant's life cycle does not end there. From the strong fibers within the stem, Indian producers craft high-end fashion products such as handbags, textiles, and even kimono exported to Japan, transforming agricultural waste into a profitable circular economic ecosystem. Farewell to dry onion warehouses. We now arrive at the proudest symbol of the Indian summer: mangoes. Revered as the king of fruits, India dominates nearly half of global production, with an annual output exceeding 20 million tons. Rather than focusing solely on the golden-skinned Alfonso variety, modern plantations are increasingly promoting green export varieties such as Keet and Totipuri. These cultivars are known for their large size and firm flesh. Even while the skin remains green, the interior reaches optimal ripeness, making them ideal for long-distance transportation. To protect this delicate fruit, farmers bag each mango directly on the tree using specialized covers. These protective layers act as shields against harsh sunlight that can cause skin burn, while also serving as effective physical barriers against fruit flies. Combined with pheromone traps and sticky insect boards, pests are controlled efficiently without excessive reliance on chemical pesticides. From March to June each year, peak harvest season begins. To preserve the natural wax coating and prevent sap from staining the peel, one of the main causes of black blemishes, farmers carefully cut each fruit by hand, gently supporting it before placing it neatly into specialized plastic trays. Immediately afterward, the entire batch undergoes heat treatment at 48 degrees Celsius to eliminate insect eggs and meet the strictest export standards from Europe to the United States. This meticulous process turns each mango orchard into a generational asset for Indian farmers. Although labor and maintenance costs are high due to manual care and harvesting, premium-grade mangoes can sell for up to 10 times the price of conventional industrial varieties. However, the strength of this billion-population nation does not stop at crop production records. While cultivation is increasingly vulnerable to India's extreme and unpredictable climate, livestock has become the true growth engine of agriculture, contributing up to 30% of the sector's total value. In simple terms, for every $3 earned from agriculture, one comes from livestock. A clear example can be seen in beekeeping farms. With just over 600 hives, farmers can generate revenues of up to 1 crore rupees per year, placing India among the world's top 5 honey exporters. This profitability is driven by the widespread use of Italian bee breeds, capable of producing up to 50 kilograms of honey per hive and foraging within a radius of 6 kilometers. It is an ideal agricultural model even for those without farmland, as hives can be placed flexibly anywhere, from roadside areas to field edges. Operations follow a strict migratory schedule aligned with flowering seasons. From October to April, farm owners transport millions of hives across states to harvest nectar from mustard, lychee, and eucalyptus blossoms. Research shows that the presence of bees enhances cross-pollination, directly boosting yields of these key crops by up to 30%. Each standard hive contains around 10 wooden frames where tens of thousands of worker bees continuously store honey. Once the honeycomb cells are fully sealed with wax, farmers place the frames into stainless steel centrifugal extractors. This technique separates pure honey while preserving the comb structure, allowing frames to be returned immediately to the hive, shortening the harvest cycle to just 10 days during peak season. To maximize revenue, honey is not sold wholesale in bulk, but strictly classified by floral source. At automated processing facilities, it undergoes rigorous purity testing before being bottled under private labels. This strategy increases product value 5 to 6 times compared to selling raw honey to traders, making beekeeping one of the lowest investment yet highest margin livestock ventures in India. If beekeeping represents the spearhead of profitability, then the backbone of India's livestock system, accounting for nearly 2/3 of its total livestock value, is the dairy industry. India holds a remarkable title, the world's largest milk producer, surpassing the combined output of all European Union countries. Yet surprisingly, this dominance does not rely on high-yield dairy cows, but on a more unassuming animal, the water buffalo. With a staggering population of around 110 million head, India's buffalo herd accounts for more than half of the global total. Rather than depending on massive industrial farms with tens of thousands of animals, India's dairy empire is built upon millions of small household-scale farms. Many families begin with just 2 buffaloes, gradually expanding over a decade to herds of up to 200. Their strategic asset is the Murrah buffalo, often described as black gold, for its exceptional milk productivity and resilience. Unlike imported dairy cattle that require costly grain-based feed, Murrah buffaloes primarily consume agricultural byproducts such as fresh grass, sugarcane bagasse, and pulse husks, significantly reducing input costs. However, their care demands precision. With very few sweat glands and dark skin that absorbs heat intensely, buffaloes must be bathed at least twice daily or cooled with misting systems. Without proper cooling, heat stress quickly reduces milk yield. Milking typically takes place in the early morning and late afternoon when temperatures are lowest. On small farms, hand milking remains common, as it fosters a bond between farmer and animal, helps the buffalo relax and release milk more efficiently, and avoids the high capital costs of machinery. Once collected, buffalo milk enters a race against time. Due to its rich nutrient and fat content, it spoils rapidly under intense heat, so it must be transported in specialized containers to cooperative collection centers within 2 hours. At processing facilities, milk is centrifuged to separate cream or simmered in large rotating kettles for concentration. Its fat content, nearly double that of cow's milk, makes buffalo milk indispensable in the supply chains of multinational food corporations. This is precisely why the milk foam in Starbucks India, known for sourcing 100% local ingredients, has a distinctly richer and creamier texture. A significant share of production is also transformed into paneer, a fresh, non-melting cheese that can command prices up to 7 times higher than raw cow's milk. Brazil is one of the rare countries where the cattle population outnumbers the human population. More than 200 million head spread across endless grasslands, turning the nation into the world's beef superpower. Brazil does not only raise familiar beef and dairy breeds, the country also possesses astonishing giants. The pure white Nelore dominating the pastures, the heavily muscled Belgian blue weighing over 1,000 kilograms like living blocks of steel, and the Holstein Friesian capable of producing dozens of liters of milk each day. In Brazil, cattle are not raised by traditional instinct but managed like high-performance athletes. Livestock systems operate with precision, featuring automatic massage machines that stimulate circulation, enclosed barns controlling temperature and humidity, and feeding, cleaning, and milking lines running continuously on optimized cycles. Here, livestock farming is no longer just agriculture, but has become a large-scale nutrition production industry, where technology and biology combine to maximize the productivity of each individual animal. Farewell to the cattle ranches. The journey takes us to vast Acai forests stretching across the Amazon, where Brazil supplies more than 90% of the world's acai production, creating an industry worth over $3 billion each year. The acai tree is a tall palm that grows widely in the Amazon rainforest, bearing small clusters of fruit hanging in bunches. The fruit looks like blueberries but is deep purple, almost black, with thin flesh and a large seed, so it is usually blended into smoothies or acai bowls rather than eaten fresh like other berries. The acai harvest season begins when Amazon locals tie a pacona strap around their ankles and climb straight up palm trunks over 20 meters high using only their strength. No ladders, no safety ropes. They move like Spider-Men through the deep forest, repeating the motion hundreds of times each day. The purple clusters are cut down and must be processed almost immediately, because within just a few hours they begin to oxidize and lose their natural value. For this reason, grinding and freezing stations are placed right beside the forest, operating continuously to preserve full quality. Remarkably, these tiny acai berries have helped change the fate of the Amazon. If forests were once cleared for cattle ranching, today acai provides a more stable source of income, allowing many forest areas to remain intact instead of disappearing. Few crops are such that the more they are sustainably harvested, the stronger the incentive becomes to protect the entire forest. It would not be an exaggeration to say that if Brazil were to suffer a soybean crop failure, the livestock industries in Asia, Europe, and the United States would face a severe shock, as Brazil currently accounts for more than 1/3 of global soybean trade and acts as a regulating valve for the world's feed supply. Compared with the United States or Argentina, Brazil's soybean sector stands out for its vast contiguous fields cultivated in 2 crops per year, and its fleet of ultra-wide, highly automated combine harvesters operating more like a continuous industrial production line than dispersed mid-sized farms. From January to March, under the late dry season sun in Mato Grosso, combine harvesters roll into the golden sea of soybeans, lowering their headers close to the ground to gather each row with near-perfect precision, while internal systems continuously thresh and screen to ensure export standards. The stems and leaves are shredded and spread back onto the soil to prepare for the next safrinha corn crop. Golden soybeans quickly fill the grain tank. Once it reaches capacity, the unloading auger extends toward a truck driving alongside without interrupting the machine's rhythm. With a field capacity of around 50 tons per hour, each machine is not merely harvesting a crop. It is operating a crucial link in the global food supply chain. As soon as soybeans leave the fields of Mato Grosso, Brazil does not slow down. Safrinha corn is immediately sown, opening a new production cycle on the very land that has just been harvested. When harvest season arrives, the perfectly aligned fields are guided by data and synchronized mechanization. Combine harvesters lower their headers, feeding corn stalks into the threshing unit. Augers and stripping plates separate the kernels from the cob within seconds, while the stalks and leaves are shredded and returned to the field to retain moisture. Sensors monitor losses and moisture levels, and the unloading auger transfers grain to trucks driving alongside without stopping the machine. These high-capacity machines can harvest up to 60 tons of corn per hour under field conditions, helping position Brazil as one of the world's largest corn exporters. In addition, harvesting corn for animal feed also plays a vital role in dairy regions and feedlots. Unlike grain corn harvest, which typically takes place from June to August, when the plant has fully dried, and the kernels reach safe storage moisture levels, corn for silage is cut earlier, when the kernels are in the milk dough stage and the whole plant reaches about 30 to 35% dry matter. Immediately, forage harvesters enter the field, cutting and chopping the entire plant into small pieces before blowing it into trailers running alongside for transport to silage bunkers, creating a stable fermented feed supply year-round. Like soybeans, corn is a foundation of the global poultry and pork industries. If Brazil were to suffer a crop failure, meat prices in Asia or Europe could immediately feel the domino effect. For this reason, Brazilian corn is not merely a crop. It is a strategic link in the global feed supply chain, where each season is operated and calculated like a large-scale industrial production system. Brazil is the largest exporter of concentrated orange juice on the planet. At times, the country has accounted for more than 50% of global orange juice trade. That means for every 2 glasses of orange juice exported worldwide, 1 originates from Brazil. Every November, the orange groves in São Paulo enter a race against time. Oranges are harvested only when they reach perfect ripeness, because a delay of just a few days can affect sugar levels and juice quality. On large farms, harvesting machines shake the tree trunks or use soft brushes moving along straight rows, synchronized with conveyor systems that collect the fruit below. A modern system can harvest up to 100 tons per day, turning the process into a high-speed industrial production line. But speed always comes with risk. Excessive shaking can bruise the peel, knock off unripe fruit, and affect the tree's vitality. Therefore, in smaller orchards, workers still use shears to cut each fruit by hand, checking ripeness on the spot to maintain optimal quality. After each harvest, the orchards are pruned to remove old or diseased branches and to create an open canopy that helps the trees recover more quickly. Proper pruning techniques not only stimulate a more uniform flowering cycle, but also optimize yield and juice quality for the following season. In Brazil, sugarcane does not only create sweetness, but also powers an entire energy economy. From straight fields to gas stations, ethanol made from sugarcane fuels millions of engines every day, forming an industry worth more than 60 billion USDs and making Brazil the world leader in biofuels. In the past, harvest season began with fire. Farmers burned the leaves to clear the fields and drive away insects, while also allowing the cane stalks to evaporate slightly, increasing sugar concentration. But long stretches of smoke extending for dozens of kilometers, along with the risk of uncontrolled fires sparked by a single strong wind, forced the sugarcane industry to change. Today, mechanization has replaced the flames. Harvesters cut close to the base with precise blades, and sensors automatically adjust cutting depth to protect the roots, allowing the crop to regenerate for another 3 to 5 consecutive harvests. Leaves are shredded and returned to the soil, while cane stalks move directly onto conveyor belts and into trailers as the machine continues moving, turning the entire field into an outdoor energy factory operating without interruption. Sugarcane harvesters in Brazil are mainly supplied by John Deere and Case IH, designed specifically for vast plantations and diverse terrain conditions. A modern machine can harvest up to 100 tons of cane per hour, operating continuously across multiple shifts each day and delivering raw material directly to the mill in the shortest possible time to optimize sugar content and ethanol production efficiency. A single frosty night in Brazil can burn billions of USD, as the country accounts for nearly 1/3 of global coffee production. If temperatures drop below 0 degrees Celsius, millions of trees can be damaged, supply is shaken, world prices surge, and the entire planet pays for a brief moment of cold. In states such as Minas Gerais and São Paulo, there are coffee plantations spanning thousands of hectares, stretching to the horizon from above like a man-made sea of trees. That immense scale makes manual harvesting nearly impossible, especially when the harvest season lasts only 2 to 3 months. For this reason, Brazil has not only changed the way it harvests, but redesigned the entire production ecosystem. Coffee trees are planted in straight rows with precise spacing, so machines can move continuously. During harvest, machines travel along each row with thousands of vibrating rods embracing the trunks and generating controlled oscillations strong enough to shake loose ripe cherries while minimizing impact on young branches. The cherries fall onto soft catching panels on both sides of the machine, then move onto internal conveyor belts. On board, fans and vibrating screens separate leaves, twigs, and debris before the beans are transferred into large storage bins running in parallel behind the machine. After harvesting, all the coffee is transported to processing areas for sorting and drying to reduce moisture to safe storage levels. The most common method is the natural process, in which whole coffee cherries are spread evenly across large concrete patios under the Brazilian sun and turned regularly over many days to ensure uniform drying. When weather conditions are unstable or volumes are too large, farms combine sun drying with mechanical dryers to precisely control moisture, ensuring consistent quality before milling and export. Leaving behind the vast coffee plantations, the journey takes us to Brazil's vineyards, an industry generating more than $2 billion each year, where grape cultivation is no longer bound by the world's traditional farming cycles. While most vineyards in the United States or Europe harvest only once a year according to the seasons, in the São Francisco Valley, Brazilian farmers have almost programmed nature itself, allowing vineyards to reach 2 to 3 harvests per year. Premium grape clusters are still cut by hand to avoid damaging the thin skins, while behind them, harvesting machines and specialized vehicles move in parallel along each row. Conveyors integrated into the machines receive the grapes and transfer them directly into containers without touching the ground. Vibration sensors and optical cameras assist with preliminary sorting right in the field, minimizing post-harvest losses. People and technology work continuously under the dry heat of the semi-arid region, turning the fields into a production system operating almost year-round. The result is something that once seemed impossible. Brazil becomes an off-season grape supplier to the world, where Europe's winter begins with harvests taking place in the heart of South America. The first stop on our journey into North American agriculture begins with the pheasant, a bird that embodies wildness, standing on the fragile boundary between human control and nature. Once a prized target of aristocratic hunts, pheasants gradually entered organized breeding systems with the rise of modern agriculture. The journey begins with eggs, carefully collected by hand and incubated for 24 days. Newly hatched chicks emerge with soft brown gold down. Fragile in appearance, yet already displaying the alert instincts of a wild bird. They are swiftly moved into enclosed brooding facilities where temperature, lighting, and humidity are precisely controlled to guide them through this critical adaptation stage. As they enter group rearing, large-scale farms in the United States use beak guards to reduce injuries caused by natural competitive behavior, while still allowing normal feeding and movement. Once fully grown, pheasants are transferred to spacious enclosures designed to mimic natural habitats, preserving their wild traits before being raised for commercial purposes or released back into the wild. At the second stop, we enter the modern agricultural system of crocodile farming, where primal fear is transformed into high-end economic value. Once a wild reptile, the crocodile has become a source of luxury leather for fashion houses such as Hermès and Louis Vuitton, sustaining a global market worth approximately $3 billion each year. In North America, crocodile farming follows a modern agricultural model, prioritizing environmental control and quality optimization, rather than relying on crude, natural methods. Crocodiles are raised in closed farming systems, with artificial ponds designed to mimic their natural habitats, allowing stable growth while remaining easy to manage. From the earliest reproductive stage, eggs and hatchlings are separated and raised under tightly controlled conditions, including temperature, water quality, and sanitation, to reduce risk and significantly improve survival rates. As they grow, crocodiles are sorted by size into separate enclosures to minimize conflict and territorial competition. Their diet is strictly regulated, with fresh meat serving as the primary food source, supplying the protein necessary for muscle development. In addition, large watermelons are periodically added to their diet to aid hydration, support digestion, and help regulate body temperature during hot conditions. Leaving the world of crocodiles behind, the journey takes us to tobacco farms, where a plant controversial for its nicotine content quietly sustains an entire economic chain spanning agriculture, industry, and trade across North America. Here, tobacco is not merely a crop, but a tightly regulated commodity, as farmers are permitted to grow and sell it only to legally licensed enterprises. In the field, labor has nearly disappeared. Specialized harvesting machines move through rows of head-high plants, precisely cutting mature leaves and gently placing them onto conveyor belts to preserve their shape and natural moisture. Harvesting takes place only between 5 and 9 a.m., when temperatures remain stable between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius, ensuring the leaves retain optimal biological condition. Immediately after cutting, the leaves are transferred into large, ventilated containers mounted behind the machines to prevent heat buildup and premature fermentation. Thanks to this closed and highly controlled process, each machine can harvest approximately 5 tons of fresh leaves per day, achieving productivity up to 10 times higher than manual labor. The tobacco leaves then undergo further rigorous processing before entering the global supply chain, becoming a vital link in North American agriculture. Despite its delicate appearance, the lily is in fact one of the world's most profitable flowers, generating annual revenues of around $500,000 thanks to high-tech greenhouse systems that operate with the precision of a semiconductor production line. The journey of a lily does not begin in the field, but with a carefully selected bulb from the Netherlands, where generations have been selectively bred for uniformity, resilience, and precise blooming that meets strict commercial standards. Before ever reaching North America, these bulbs travel halfway around the world and undergo weeks of cold treatment at 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. A sophisticated biological deception that convinces the plant winter has ended and rapid growth should begin. Next, the lily enters a completely artificial environment. Inside modern greenhouses, the plant no longer depends on natural soil or weather, but grows in sterile substrates where pH levels and drainage are controlled down to the finest detail. Here, control belongs to humans. Farmers do not wait for plants to grow by instinct. They actively manipulate light, temperature, and nutrition to determine stem height and the exact moment when flower buds begin to open. Finally, when every parameter reaches its optimal threshold, lilies are cut while the buds are still closed, placed onto automated conveyor systems, rapidly cooled, sorted, and transferred directly to processing facilities. The next stage of the journey takes us to vast sweet potato fields, where beneath rich brown soil lie massive tubers, some as large as a watermelon. Thanks to exceptionally high yields, each hectare can generate revenues of up to $300,000 per harvest. In North America, sweet potato harvesting clearly reflects the level of modern agriculture. Specialized automated harvesters are engineered to dig and lift the tubers with high precision, minimizing damage. The sweet potatoes are then transferred onto conveyor systems, where integrated cleaning units continuously remove soil, keeping the surface of each tuber clean and intact. Right in the field, the harvest undergoes preliminary sorting before being loaded into large containers or linked transport systems. Through this closed and efficient process, farmers significantly reduce manual labor, shorten harvest time, and ensure consistent, stable product quality.